here we go. Our second match. We got LocalGhost and our new Russian buddy R here.
So, oh wow! Take a look at our matchup: Sorcerer versus Tech Marine.
All right.
How are you feeling about that one?
R, show me how it's done.
Maybe I'd say LocalGhost is probably favored with the Sorcerer, unless the Sorcerer bugs out and he can't shoot Doom Bolts.
Laid back Brit, can you smash someone? Oh yeah, sure. Find a. I've got nowhere to be. If you can find an opponent, we'll get you in after this round of 3.
So
Bruce versus Grushin. Oh.
What do you find challenging about this matchup from the Tech Marine perspective?
So the Tech Marine, I feel like the Sorcerer has a lot of options just to like engage in melee, disrupt. Even with shotguns, Devastators, Assault Marines, it's just a tough matchup. Heretic and Sorcerer beat Assault Marines pretty well. You got Doom Bolts hitting your heavy squads, which you can dodge sometimes, but you know, it's just a tough matchup. Sorcerer has a lot of great disruption options in the early game, and I feel like Tech Marine has a hard time. And that's as Space Marine, as Tech Marine, that's when you need to be surviving, right? You need to be surviving the early game to get into your tier 2. And I feel like what I most often struggle with is like double Heretics into Noise Marines, especially on this map where the Noise Marines
I would actually see that as
just...
double Heretics into Noise Marines. I feel like would be good against the Tech Marine like full time.
Right. But being all range damage, you have the Sorcerer tying stuff up along with the Heretics. Sorcerer's probably going to be able to teleport around. Noise Marines are shutting stuff down as well and threatening your power. Heretics are capping the map. It's tough, but we'll see. We'll see what R has to say about it.
Unfortunately, one of the things that we see out of R that's going to be a little bit questionable, I'm a little bit worried about is, I mean, he did not go for that second scout squad. He is already losing out on map control. He's only got the 1 scout squad, and he's put down just the node, which that's still a little strange.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the plan is here.
Because I think normally, even if you want to go scout, tac, scout into ASM, usually that means you're going to put an. Actually, you would still put the node down. Yeah, I think it would be scout, tac, scout, node into ASM. Oh, he's going to go for a second tac squad. And I guess putting the node does make it so that activating the node makes it so that his power doesn't get decapped.
Yeah, sometimes the node's just that valuable.
But I think LocalGhost is already making quite a lot of things happening in terms of map control. He's got his Heretics on the natural requisition point. Shotgun Scout's coming over there to have something to say about it, I think. All right, they're coming around now, but even if the Heretics just get the decap here, I think this works out pretty well. Looks like they won't.
Yeah, I think it's important to keep that last point under your control if you can. He should be able to route
trying
this.
to go for it anyway.
Oh, he faked out the scouts just enough. Oh, he holds the point.
Oh, man. Like, if he had actually gotten that decap, I think that would actually be pretty nice. Like, disrupting the requisition income for him like that.
So the tax are up. 2 gens go down.
Ooh, Doom Bolts mostly miss.
Yeah, a bit of a whiff on the Doom Bolts. The Shotgun Blast isn't available right now, but there's enough range firepower. That's a good advantage.
Those Heretics go down.
Oh my gosh, yeah, you're right. The Heretics fall. I was about to say that's the advantage of having the 2 attacks in the Tech Marine is that your range damage output is actually quite significant. Now, Raptors are coming out here. That's pretty much going to shut down this next engagement. But, man,
these Chaos Space Marines, why are they still here?
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe
he's just
LocalGhost
trying
really
to
is
buy time to get the Raptors in there and make the space, make the techie overcommit, I guess. But it costs him 2 models to do so.
Yeah, I don't know if that was really that good of an idea, because...
Did he get 2 models off the other? I mean, it was 2 for 2, so it's not that bad ultimately. And the Tax still walk away from the Chaos Raptors because the Chaos Raptors just chased the retreating Tech Marine.
Oh yeah, the Tax are still there.
The Heretics do find them and force them back. Artificer armor coming down on the Techie.
Your units fulfill your
what I personally sometimes, coming from the sorcerer perspective, can sometimes find a little bit challenging about this matchup is that there is just a lot of range damage coming out of the Tech Marine, and sometimes, especially when you have a squad like Heretics, where it's like, if a Tech Marine and like a Scout look in the direction of a squad of Heretics for a few seconds, suddenly that Heretic squad is at like half health, and sometimes it can be hard to get your squads into melee unless your positioning is really good. Range units typically also you're a little bit outgunned in terms of sheer range damage, but man.
Oh my
This Tech
god,
Marine,
that
does he get up here? No.
The mine got 2 of the models. I didn't think that was going to work at all. It almost did.
I've seen that recently. There was another player, actually in a match that I had cast, of this close range mine shenanigan.
But if you're in melee with squads that can knock you over, we saw him almost just get denied. He got knocked over once. If he would have gotten knocked over again, that wouldn't have worked at all. He just barely got that mine down and then survived the explosion. I mean, it does force all your melee squads like to gather up when they're on top of a single unit like that, so the mine will do big damage, because oftentimes mines go off and the squads are on the edge of the explosion radius. So if all 3 members are directly on top of that mine, it actually does pretty huge damage.
Yeah, I've seen it in action. Tactical Marines going for a generator bash on the bottom side. I mean, there's nobody here to stop them at the moment. I almost wonder if it'd be a good time to upgrade to a Flamer for them to make a little bit more out of this. Raptors are already on their way.
Yeah, attacks unfortunately bash power quite slowly.
Yeah, I'm not even sure if they finished this one with the Raptors here. Raptors jump.
Yeah, they got it.
Just barely finished it.
Score 1 point for the tax.
Meanwhile, Heretics down to 1 model against that Tech Marine. I wonder if they stepped on a mine.
They must have. There's a crater right next to where the Tech Marine was standing, and a bunch of dead
probably.
Heretics, so...
I mean, I saw that in a match that I had cast between Sophia and Pi of Reckoning, and I think Pi fell for it once, and he lost his Banshees, but then, like, over the course of the game, he adapted to it, and it, like, never really, he never really fell for it ever again.
Right. So big Doombolt's there, manages to rout the Space Marines. The Raptors stop the Scouts. Just little skirmishes here and there all over the place right now. Both players are in Tier 2, and VPs are about even.
Both players are in Tier 2, but we do have R with quite a lot of resources. He could be going for a Dreadnought pretty soon, and this would actually be pretty rough for Local.
Yeah, Local's bled quite a bit. Losing the 2 Chaos Space Marines, losing the 2 Raptors, losing tons of Heretics throughout these first few engagements as well.
Raptors up far for Local. Do they lose a model in the process? They don't, and I think that's pretty important for him at this time, given that he is behind, that soon he's going to be facing down a Dreadnought, and he's already been bleeding quite a bit. Because we have this Dreadnought coming out. He's going to need something to deal with this, and right now he literally has nothing. And even once he gets something, he'll only have 1 unit that can deal with it.
Well, honestly, I feel like responding with a Dreadnought of his own isn't out of the question. He'll be a little bit behind the enemy Dreadnought, as that one's already on the field, but he's not far from purchasing 1 for himself. And I think if he just goes for like a Scene Strat or something like that, he'll be pretty alright.
I think what's tough is, though, I think for him to be able to... He's going to get more Raptors, oh my god. I think he is hopefully just going to cancel that if and when he sees this Dreadnought, but I don't know if he's going to see it in time, because he really needs to cancel the Raptors.
Yeah, that seems like a terrible idea. Are they just on Overwatch?
I don't know. Like, the thing is, if he doesn't know the Dread is coming, and if the Dread actually isn't coming, like if R bought something like a Librarian, for instance, then the Raptors would be fine. They'd even be good. But with the Dreadnought now out on the field, this is actually disastrous. and this is something where when you're playing as the Sorcerer, you often have to be aware of the fact that usually your Tier 1 is going to have pretty minimal in terms of anti-vehicle that can be upgraded. Oh wow, Raptor's nearly... Oh no, Sorcerer.
No, the Sorcerer, yeah.
So you need to manage that in Tier 2 where you need to be... Even if you don't see a vehicle, you need to be ready to respond to one because you will need... In most cases, you will need to buy an entirely new unit to deal with a vehicle at all, unless you went for Havoc in Tier 1. Oh my god. Yeah, I mean, the Dreadnought's just going to base, and the Dreadnought can honestly stay here just about as long as it wants. The only thing that could possibly stop this would be a Blood Crusher with Warship support. The Dreadnought doesn't even need to leave. Like, it literally doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, there's a Havoc out here, but it's too late. I mean, on it, like... the other squads could just go around, cap the map or whatever. They're not going to do anything in this fight.
We have Mark of Corn upgraded of all things, which... I mean, it's almost like he knows that he's not going to get an upgrade on the Havocs, because the Dreadnought will just be on them the whole time. I'm still looking at the Dreadnought in base first.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really have an answer. It's... The Corn Marines will eventually hurt it a bit. You do sort of get to this point that if you stick around too long, you're just throwing the Dread away, because eventually...
Not necessarily. Remember, Sorcerer, he doesn't have to leave, in my opinion.
Well, the Sorcerer's down.
That's a fine position for a teleport.
What do you say?
That's a fine position where the Sorcerer is. Even if he's down, that's a fine position for him to teleport.
But no, that's what I was saying, is that the eventually you have to pull the Dread out of there, because it will either fall to the Corn Marines or have to stop chasing the Havocs at some point. So you get to the point where, like, the Corn Marines either start burning it down and, you know, chipping it down enough, and then if you decide to try to walk away, then the Havoc just snags you with the laser. So I think he stuck around exactly as long as he should have. He got out of there as the last cannon came online. Did plenty of damage, kept him locked down in that base for a while. The Raptors are on the far side, though.
He's gonna go for double Dread now.
Oh man, I'm into it. More Dreads is more better.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, like, aside from how exciting it is, at the moment, I think it's just gonna work. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's a primarily melee army. So what's...
And we only have the one Havoc to answer both of the Dreadnoughts. The one Havoc is gonna have enough trouble with one of the Dreadnoughts.
Right. And there's
now
Plasma Marines out, the Tech Marine has Plasma, the Scouts are upgraded, like, there's... That Havoc will die so fast to any sort of ranged pressure from this Space Marine army that it's not going to be able to continue sustained lascannon fire on either of these walkers. Even under some Siege Worship here.
So this is part of what I have personally struggled with in the past, where, and locals deciding to get a second Havoc, where sometimes vehicle-heavy plays can be a little bit tough for the Sorcerer, especially because you can find yourself running into a position where the army is a little bit inflexible, which is why now we're having to see the double Havoc purchase.
Yeah, I feel like there's so much power in, you know, if you would have gotten
Havoc's gonna be wiped.
Oh no, that's huge.
That's absolutely tragic. I think maybe you could make an argument here that maybe this would actually be a decent situation for Plague Marines. And although the Plague Marines don't have the raw damage of the lascannon Havoc, they just have so much more sustainability. Where
yeah, and they control the Dreadnoughts very well too.
So it maybe should have been like one lascannon Havoc and like a Plague Marine squad. Certainly double lascannon Havocs, if he still had that, would be a massive amount of damage, but again, just so easy to force one of them off.
Yeah, I think at this point, like the losing that lascannon might have been the killing blow here. He's got some time to pull it out. Calderas, you know, takes a long time to get those VPs down, but he can't even move on to the center of the map at all. Not with what he
Corn Marines
has.
can do so little right now.
Yeah, I mean, he upgraded those Corn
so
Marines
little.
as a reaction to what was on the field. or what was in his base rather.
Yeah,
but,
when he was in that situation where that was like the only way he could even possibly threaten it.
But now he's trapped. You know, his opponent has forced him into this suboptimal composition.
Yeah,
He's
God,
got
this
scouts
turret
constantly
too.
spotting. Yeah, this side of the map is just locked down. He doesn't even have his natural power farm. So
I mean, the
let's see.
turret by itself is something that is like hard to deal with.
Yeah, the Raptors aren't even upgraded either. They don't have their aspiring champion. He doesn't have the requisition for it. He needs to get some other stuff on the field. We got both the dreadnoughts went for assault cannons. 2 assault cannons opening up here is gonna be rough. Here comes the first barrage.
I mean, this is in some ways this is awesome.
Yeah, I mean it's unnecessary, but also like, what is he gonna do against it? He can't move in on the dreadnoughts because now they even have a turret behind.
It's actually a weird situation, in my opinion, where I think it would have been better to either keep them both melee or keep at least one melee. But I think it's also just such a strong position for R, where it also doesn't even really matter.
Yeah, I mean, R's slapping down the base lock turret right here.
He's just in such a strong situation no matter what.
Yeah, so the second Havoc's out here. Now, if R gets silly here and gets careless with those dreadnoughts, he could lose the 1 or 2 of the dreads, and if those go down, the turrets go down, it's suddenly an even match, because all he really has beyond that is the Chaos Space Marines. But I mean, this is the classic Tech Marine Caldeira's base lock. What are you gonna do about it? He's even putting down a third turret just to make sure. Now, I don't know if that's a wise choice against 2 las cannons, but here we are. The las cannons are setting up just outside of the range of the first turret, but the second turret might be able to open up here and suppress them all. Raptors jumping in, but they're already suppressed. Two assault cannons actually put out enough courage damage to suppress these squads. The Raptors die in just a brief second. And,
only one of the las cannons was shooting. Second one is finally setting up. It's going to be a grenade on it. It's just going to be instantly wiped.
All right. And people were saying LocalGhost is a bit of a memer, so I think the memer became the memed here.
Maybe. I mean, like in the early game, it actually looked like he was doing better.
Oh, I didn't realize he set the second turret up backwards to cover the first. I thought he was putting it in both.
That's hilarious.
Oh
I didn't even
my
see
gosh,
that myself.
Ridiculous. All right.
But
and there's your Tech Marine base lock. Oh my gosh, R takes the first game and quite some.
I think the thing
here.
that was really like the point of no return for LocalGhost was the second Raptor squad.
Yeah, I feel like that had to have been an Overwatch mistake. I can't imagine that was intentional.
I think one of the things about the Space Marine mirror tends to be, in my opinion, a little bit less explosive, in part because a lot of these earlier units are just quite a bit tankier, and especially if you only have, if you got Tech Marine, it's all range damage, whereas usually melee units are going to have like higher overall DPS values, more likely to lead to like early game squad wipes and such. Whereas
yeah, but it's tricky to see, like, do you go for like the heavy scout upgrades? Do you go for assault Space Marines? Do you hold out for the plasma rifle, or do you get the Master Crafted in Tier 1? The Master Crafted is like crazy good at knocking out scouts. It can lock down tactical marines to set up a grenade as well. There's a lot of different options in Tier 1 in the matchup, actually. So we can see LocalGhost just going straight for the gens, sends Tech Marine right to the gen farm. When you know you're in a Tech Marine mirror, you can be a little more aggressive with the Tech Marine. You don't have to worry about melee tying him up, and there are quite a few garrisons on this map. So this being a Tech Marine mirror and also being on Paletooth Gorge, yeah, both players playing super aggressive. Doesn't the stream have enough Tech Marine already? Apparently not, because here we are with 2 more.
It may not have enough Tech Marine, but you know what? I personally feel we don't have enough scouts for these players.
Yeah, neither player going for the second scout.
Scout.
Tech Marine actually taking out the generator on the far side. And, oh, going straight for the flamers. Okay. So already we're seeing a little variation here. Flamers on one side. Scouts retreating.
Press on to victory.
But yeah,
Space
neither
Marines.
player choosing to engage. Both players on opposing sides playing hyper aggressive against each other. But I think are getting the better of the exchanges there. The gens go down. There's flamers over here to hit the other power. There's nothing out here to stop these attacks yet. Okay, here comes the flamers on the opposing squad. So the mirror match continuing right now.
Yeah, Local has tried to put another generator on one of those contested power farms to compensate, but we're just going to see R make his way over there, and he'll just unleash his brand new flamer on this power farm, or maybe they'll take a break.
Yeah, the reload mechanic is something that I'm not sure I care for sometimes. I feel like my guys are always reloading right when a squad's running towards them, and they're like, "Hold on, guys, I gotta reload."
Man, neither one of these players have
second
much
and
of
a
an
half
economy.
Feels like forever.
Neither one of these players have that much of an economy at the moment, and they're kind of, it's weird, they're kind of letting each other just
Yeah, they're just
disrupt
kind of
each other's economy.
playing ring around the VPs right now. They're just circling around each other. No one's engaging hard. Both sides losing power. Kind of okay with it.
Scouts ready.
Still no second scouts. We do have assault marines coming out for Ghost. Oh, and second tax for R. Interesting.
Support structure complete.
Yeah, I think this does favor Local, and at least right now, I think he's going to have, like, just a better army composition, but, you know, I think I thought that last game, too, and then things kind of went against him. At least this time, if he finds himself accidentally going for double Assault Marines, that's not nearly as bad as going double Raptors, because you can get double Meltas, and you can also upgrade the TAC to a missile launcher, so you're not completely screwed against vehicles.
Yeah, this is pretty silly. I don't think I've really seen a game like this. Artificer's down on the tech marine, dropping some mines around. Upon seeing that, I wouldn't be surprised to see a scout sarge come up, so he can spot those. Yeah, this is so indirect.
These players have barely fought each other.
Yeah, they are literally just. I mean, they've now done, like, the Local Ghost Tech Marine has now done a full lap around the map, capping everything and coming back home. Like, he killed a generator, he capped a bunch of points, he came home. Let's see, this Tech Marine's trying to get into that garrison, but it looks like the Assault Marines are beating to it. Locking him out of that.
Not going for the garrison in the end. Oh, right, Assault Marines beat him to it. I didn't realize
Yeah,
that.
yeah. As soon as they jumped in, they didn't engage the Tech Marine and moved right up on the camp. Mines go down. We did get the Sarge come in.
Adding power generator.
R actually with more map control at the moment, or at least he's about to get that double cap.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first the VPs have really changed hands.
There are still targets to engage.
And yep, the Tech Marine's just gonna keep continuing to run laps. There are a couple
Oh, no.
mines down on this side of the map.
Flamer attacks for R are moving over to the generator, whereas most of Local's army have gone away from that. So I think this is probably just going to be the whole farm.
Yeah, he just bought the farm and he's gonna lose it again.
Adding power generator.
Still no gens down for his opponent though.
Okay, Assault Marines will jump on it, so they'll actually make it there sooner than I expected. And that actually will be enough to prevent any of the generators from going down. So that's a pretty nice save out of Local. Unfortunately for him, the Assault Marines, or rather the Tactics Marines, will get in the garrison, then they'll just get back out, and they'll actually be able to resume this bash on the generator. Shotgun Scouts are here as well.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be quite enough to stop these Assault Space Marines over here, but Tacs are coming back along with the Tech Marine on the far side. R's continuing to add to the minefield over here. He's definitely one that seems to like those Tech Marine mines with the Artificer armor. One Tech model goes down, Assault Marines continue pressing forward against the Flamer Tacs, and ultimately the power farm will be saved.
Yeah, that was still definitely a win for R. He didn't lose a single TAC model. He got a node and a generator.
Yeah, he got a node, a generator, he killed a Tech Marine, and now the Techie is still hanging out, being a nuisance in that garrison.
Support structure
So victory
complete.
points have overall gone in favor of R now. He does have the lead in victory points. Tech Marine was about to put down
Yeah, I
some
saw
points.
that. Oh no! So both players now they're just continuing to make it as much of a literal mirror match as they can. Artificer's armor is down on the opposing techie. He's not going to hit that mine. I think those scouts could have moved in position for a grenade. Had they used their grenade yet?
I don't think so.
It would have had to have been a bullseye shot. He still
Yeah,
has
that would have been a
150
tough grenade
HP.
to hit. Like, he had 170 hit points. You're trying to hit that single model.
Enemy is capturing one of our strategic points.
So, yeah, things still going in R's favor, even though I felt like the Assault Marine composition should really have the edge over the double tack composition.
It should, but he's just been able to keep the pressure on a little better. His map positioning has been better. He's been taking advantage of the garrisons a little bit more. The Assault Marines can't get nearly as much done when these Space Marine squads can just buy time by hopping in and out of these garrisons.
Meanwhile, R continuing to put pressure on that power.
Yeah,
He's got
coming
both the
back over here
shotgun
with
scouts.
and the flamer attacks yet again.
All right, Assault Marines are in a position to intercept.
They're still quite low though. This time around, if they jump in, if the scouts get a good knockback, although I think, did they just use their knockback?
They...
Oh man, and he's falling
They
into
may
the
have.
trap. Is he gonna go for it? Oh, I think he should have continued pressuring the Space Marines. He has the mine set up there.
Yeah, I think he absolutely should have gone
Oh
for the
my
attacks.
gosh, he's losing gens now while he chases the scouts down. Let's see, does he
Yeah,
have a jump?
he lost one. I think he loses two. Can he lose three? Oh man, losing 3 gens just for that simple retarget
Yeah.
on the Assault Marines rather.
Oh,
sorry,
and
on
mine
the
goes
scouts
down
rather
on
than the
the
attacks.
model.
So he's again putting generators on the contested power node to compensate, and also seeing what he can get done with a generator bash. But unfortunately, it's only his scouts. Actually, he's barely bashing with just the scouts.
Yeah, he's trying to set up the mines to blow up these power gens, I think.
Generator operational.
Ooh, wow, look at this, though. We now have a melee tech marine out of R.
Ooh,
and the
there we
Axe
go.
of the
That's what I
Mechanicum.
wanted to see. The Axe of the Mechanicum coming out here.
Yeah, I actually, honestly, at the moment, I like that quite a bit. I mean, that Axe of the Mechanicum going to chunk down the Tactical Marines as well as the Assault Marines. Meanwhile, a grenade has landed, and that is going to be possibly the end of Local Ghost Tax. No,
Is there anything over here to intercept? Nope. Okay,
20 hit
so
points.
the Assault Marines managed to save the squad. There's a Razorback coming out. Oh, maybe not.
Stand with your brothers. The Emperor's
Yeah, and you can just see, I mean, R's not hesitating to take the advantage of every opportunity he can to, like, outmaneuver the Assault Marines. I think the map itself might just be the bane of the Assault Marines here. If there weren't garrisons for all these squads to hide in, those Assault Marines would be way more potent. And R might just be playing the map a little better here.
Those Assault Marines going to need some thunder and lightning.
I'm not sure that's enough to make them very, very frightening.
I actually saw someone use the blind grenades recently. I'm like, oh wow, that's an ability. I forgot about it.
Yeah, I've used it once or twice here and there, but it still just feels so lackluster.
Yeah, I don't think by itself it's going to be bad. But it was just a fun idea.
If you could use it in general, I wish you could just use it on the ground. That would be way different.
We're losing a power.
All right, so Razorback out for local. Dreadnought going to be out soon for R. They'll scare off those tactical marines with the Razorback, but we do have
Yeah, he's gonna have
R
a big
looking to put
answer
more
here.
pressure on the power.
The VPs are still pretty even at this stage of the game. R has a huge requisition advantage, obviously, because he's been burning down so many gens, forcing the repurchase of those time and time again.
Scouts have to get into the garrison to get away from that tech marine, prevent them from chopping them up. Oh man, the Dreadnought's out. Of course, look what weapon it's going for.
Yeah, Local's got the melt out here.
We've got the multi-melt on the Dread though.
Oh.
Doesn't connect with the Razorback. I think it tried to hit one of the infantry.
One more
that
shot
big
could
shot.
be all it takes. Will it get out of range? I think it's going to be okay.
I think it needs
oh, no,
to.
it stopped.
Oh, rear armor. Yeah, okay,
Oh,
it does need to.
Move. Oh, if that Razorback goes down, I think that's it. Techmarine doesn't have orbs. He does just have his melt at the moment, but this, here comes the orb. But the axis of the Mechanicum will probably drain his energy to the point that he can't actually launch that orb. Yeah, the Techmarine has to fall back. Shotgun's coming in on the far side. Scouts are going to be able to get the cap, but they're going to have to retreat immediately. Or maybe if they tried to throw a grenade. I don't think it'll cost them their lives, but it was pretty close. And now the Dreadnought's just going to hang out on the power and melt it down.
Meanwhile, Local is going full on anti-vehicle investment. Literally everything that he could upgrade to have something to do something against a vehicle, he upgraded to that. He got the missile launcher, he got the Techmarine with both the Meltagon and the Orbs of the Omnissiah, and he got the Meltabomb on the Assault Marines.
Alright, so I
So
mean...
it's a full commitment.
Yeah, that more or less means that if he can't break this Dreadnought in the Nest's engagement, then he might well be out of this game. It's such a... It's one of the things that can be most frustrating as Space Marine is sometimes you feel like you have to invest so much power in order to do something. Nice positioning here. Let's see, no retreat grenade going down.
No retreat grenade. Maybe he goes for one here, but I don't even feel that this achieves that much. Like,
Yeah,
I think it's too much
unfortunately.
time that he's spending not capping. I don't like the idea of going for a generator bash at this time.
So this looks like, oh man, maybe he's just looking to steal the gems at this point. Yeah, he's gonna cap, he's gonna put down a turret, pops these mines, clears the way. And I guess he feels, I mean, it might be right. This might be one of the only ways he gets back into this. It's just straight up stealing the power.
Unfortunately, I don't know if he does now because there are double missile launcher attacks on the other side. They can take, I mean, they're actually targeting, I think they've been targeting the generators. So, are kind of deciding like, well, if I can't have my power, you can't have it either. Now he's
I don't know
focusing
if they're
on-
actually
on the
targeting or
attacks.
if they're just misfiring
I don't
and
even
hitting the generators. But, I mean, the map is entirely red at this point. R has everything. He's so far ahead.
I mean, I guess kind of a criticism I have for both players is that they're both playing so indirect, which, at least for R, he has done it better than Local, which is why, at least for Local, at this point in the game, I kind of wanted to see him take on the Dreadnought. I mean, honestly, why go for that full-on commitment to upgrading everything you have to anti-vehicle if you're just going to still run away from the Dreadnought?
Well, R has the base turrets set up. He's got the Dreadnought, the turrets, and a bunch of mines sitting in front of the base over here.
He's
So,
got the double turret, both
Yeah,
facing opposite directions as well.
when Local does have to retreat, I don't think he's going to be getting out anytime soon.
He actually can't even deal with that double turret setup. Like, I don't think he can.
Okay, so the Tactical Marines managed to take out the tower. Oh no, but he upgraded the turret to a missile launcher, so now the Tactics are just going to run up and kill it with rockets. Oh dear. Well, I think that might be it for Ghost. He's going to hold the VPs for a few moments here, but with those two missile attacks over here, the Razorback's not going to be able to do anything. There's scouts over here and the Tech Marine trying to do something. They do manage to at least stop the advance of the Tactical Marines. Nice looking grenade right there at point blank range. And he actually will hold over here for just a moment.
It's actually kind of
I mean,
amazing.
ours now getting a Plasma Devastator. There's not going to be much answer to that. Where are the assaults? Oh, okay, they're over here with the Razorback. Oh dear. Just when you think it can't get any weirder, here we are. OLev's asking Shroom to explain these Russian tactics over here. Special tactics.
Like, in the long run, I don't think...
Oh, the Dreadnought, the multi-melt is just coming in. They spotted the las cannon, so he's just going to make sure that can't get set up and do anything.
The enemy is capturing one of our strategic points.
How's the thing? The first thing that comes to mind is the base lock with turrets.
Well, the last cannon Devastator is going to be gone. I think. It should be.
Yep, it is toast. Turret finishes off the last model. Plasma Dev! Big shot. Rocket is enough to finish off the Razorback. Local's going to have to retreat here shortly, I think, and then he's going to be trapped in his base. There's only 60 points remaining. I'm not seeing much of an escape for this. The Dreadnought's moving back out onto the field as soon as it gets back out here. I think Local's forces are not going to have much of an answer.
Yeah, I think this one's... I'm tempted to say this one's over.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even say that now, though, because between these two players, who knows what's going to happen. Tactical Marines go down. It's only the assaults and scouts left. And, oh, this has been a very silly game.
Oh, was this what you guys wanted out of your Friday night fights? Don't tell me.
Oh, man. The Assault Marines go down. Scouts are going down. Nothing's going home. He's not going to give him the satisfaction of a base lock. He says, I'm going to let you kill me on the field. I guess Tech Marine is going to run home to check the situation out. He's going to go back to find all his dead Lascannon brothers. And R takes it 2-0. If you move into the play spot, you better be ready to play. That's all I'm saying. Let's see what the matchup ends up being. Oh man, now we got to change. I got to change the scoreboard. These guys, we got Warp Spider, and we got Chaos Lord.
All right, looks like he's fine with it. He moving his units out right right away.
All right, here we go. Ba-ba-ba.
So obviously Chaos Lord again. Zev, definitely his main. I've definitely seen a lot of the Zev Chaos Lord. Innokur is 2 times gay. But anyway, DanielGrushin moving around, going for that early contested power with that Warp Spider Exarch, taking advantage of that mobility. Now the Warp Spider Exarch, certainly he's definitely got some unique strengths in 1v1 games compared to the other Eldar commanders. Just being a teleporting commander does give him a lot in terms of map control, can harass with decaps. Even this, like this early pressure on the Chaos Lord. Chaos Lord going to try to chase after him, which means we'll eventually just see a teleport away.
Yeah, he was a little too close there. But once his he'll get his cooldown, waste some time for the Chaos Lord. Heretics on the far side, we got Banshees in here.
Chaos Lord, though, looking like he's going to try to do some things to this Dire Avenger squad. Dire Avenger squad actually stopped the cap so that they can shoot and kind of focus fire him.
Yeah, you can see the Banshees are ready to
No, that's
pull.
not kill the weak. That's a special attack.
Yeah, you gotta. He's watching for the energy bar right now. There it is.
All right, there it is. He gets it.
But the Banshees are still plenty healthy. They're going to be able to continue hacking up.
Okay. Chaos Lord will be okay. Honestly, if the Banshees... I'm actually still not 100% sure. Oh, but the Banshees decide to go for the Chaos Space Marines anyway, and that'll scare them all. I almost wonder if the Banshees had their aspect and they could have used Fleet of Foot there, that might even been a dead Chaos Lord.
Best noob play, some ones. Yeah, I mean, well, if we can find someone to play him. But there's no one online, and it would just be silly best noob just goofing around playing memes on people. So we get some matches that are still good, but a little below that level.
So what I personally want to see more out of this Warp Spider Exarch is I want to see him more just like kind of harassing the heretics. Because it's like very easy bleed opportunities for the Warp Spider Exarch. Meanwhile, talking about heretics, do they get wiped up top?
No, they'll get away, but not very healthy. And one of the things that's like so good about Banshees continuing to chase like that, as we saw, is that they cover so much ground so fast that the next squad coming out got tied up in melee and then forced off yet again.
Yeah, and part of kind of the dynamic of the way this matchup works, and I mean a lot of matchups, but kind of the specifics of this one is that your heretics are your melee counter, and not necessarily that they will always 100% beat Banshees in melee, but it's just that suppression, that it's just reliable control on the heretics. Once they're off the field, there's not a whole lot to stop the Banshees from getting into melee with the Chaos Space Marines, who do not want to be in melee with the Banshees at all.
All right, so now a Shuriken out here. That'll be a little more control for both the Heretics and the Chaos Lord. Chaos Lord does have the Comet Flamer. Once again, it's such a good weapon against just about everything. I mean, just making it that much harder to kite the Chaos Lord around makes such a huge difference when trying to engage and deal with him.
So, very similar to last game, it's making me wonder if we'll also see kind of the fast tech to tier 2, relatively speaking, and at least fast in terms of getting no tier 1.5 unit. We will see the double AC ticks again. So,
yeah, so he's got
far
the
it's the exact
Combo
same build.
Flamer, 2 assault cannon ticks, yeah. Aspiring champion ticks.
Assault cannon.
Yeah.
Ooh, this Guardian weapon team in a little bit of trouble. Lucky that it
I think it'll
hasn't
be
been suppressed
fine.
yet.
It should be clear enough to get the correct retreat path. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, he was trying to look for that different retreat path.
Grenade comes
Grenade
in.
goes
Looks
in.
like it should be good. Oh, actually hasn't hit too much.
Still going to be a win in the end for Zevargel.
Yeah, the Chaos Lord proving he's not to be trifled with.
Yeah, so we see the Chaos Lord here. This build, I feel like it's much harder to get away with this kind of build with any of the other Chaos Commanders. This only the 2 ticks, 1 CSM squad. But I think a lot of the reason that the Chaos Lord can do this is because of how much attention and aggro the Chaos Lord himself can draw.
Yeah, you kind of have to split your fire between trying to control the Heretics and trying to keep the Chaos Lord from just, you know, getting in the thick of your army, dropping kill the weak, shooting things down with the Comet Flamer. Warp Spider, I can't get any of my names right today. Heavy Gauge Death Spinner on him now. Doing some pretty good damage to these Chaos Space Marines. They are very low. If he gets an opportunity with some Banshees, those could be in some real trouble. Quite a few kills over here on the victory point. But the VPs are much more even this game, pretty much sitting neck and neck at this point, but the Eldars managed to put no pressure on the tower so far. Zev still a little behind.
Doom Blast right there, basically to save the CSM from losing any models from the Banshee's retreat killing.
Oh yeah, I mean they would have gotten at least 1 if not 2. Those guys were so low from the Warp Spider engagement earlier that that would have been dicey to say the least. Shuriken Cannon at point blank, gonna blast down this power. And,
so I think one of the
Warp
things
Spider
that
actually has to make sure he's paying attention to this. A couple volleys.
Yeah, you're
there
right.
we go. He immediately retreats, no problem. Banshees fleet a foot away from him as well because they'll start bleeding models very quickly. In addition to just the hero going down. Yeah, see, already a model down.
model down on those Banshees, as you said, as they're trying to get away, but I mean, they stand a chance of losing another model.
Yeah, the Chaos Lord seems so slow until he's like just stomping around and haranguing you with that Combo Flamer. Heretics force off, yeah, full retreat from the Eldar. He was paying attention. Daniel G managed to get the Shuriken Cannon out of there without any losses, but full retreat, yielding the map again. But he's doing pretty well. He's got one of the contested power. He's got a couple of contested wreck. Both players are heading into tier 2 at pretty much the same time. I feel like Zev's largely been more in control of the engagements, but as soon as he does, Daniel comes back out and kind of returns the favor. So it's just been a lot of back and forth so far. Not really a hard advantage either way, I'd say. Daniel has way more requisition as it stands currently. I don't know what Zev bought behind
I think
this.
Zev already has some kind of purchase loaded up that's just queued up right behind that level 2 Chaos Temple. I don't know why I called it that. I hovered over it, just tier 2. Part of what Daniel is kind of struggling with is the Chaos Lord himself, where the Warp Spider Exarch has mainly been used more so for map control, has been mostly operating solo. So that means when the Chaos Lord is engaging the rest of the army, you don't have like that double range squad setup where you can have one kite while the other one focuses down the Chaos Lord, which is part of where the Chaos Lord is getting a lot of value at the moment.
Oh my gosh, I think the Banshees that keep running through those trees, I think that's slowing them down more than it's helping.
But the way Daniel has been using his not Chaos Space Marines, I'm doing it too, his Howling Banshees, I think there have been a lot of good uses of his Howling Banshees.
Yeah, they're getting a lot done, and the Warp Spider himself, like you said, has been largely responsible. Since Zev does have the smaller army, like you said, he only went for the 2 Heretics and the Chaos Space Marines. So long as Daniel's holding on with the armies as he has been, the Warp Spider's been all over the rest of the map, making sure it stays in the hands of the Eldar.
And now we've got a Falcon out for DanielGrushin. Now, given the build that Zev went, he actually has literally nothing that can even really threaten the Falcon at the moment. The
No, I
highest
think
source of damage.
the Falcon is going to be a huge advantage here.
Yeah.
And this is what we were
that's-
saying. You know, Nerlin was saying last game that he should go for the Blood Crusher before the Blood Letters. And I think, especially in this matchup, that would be a lot better. I mean, the Blood Crusher can at least control the Falcon if it can't just straight up kill it. It can at least pressure it to stay off thing. You know, like you can see Daniel's just going straight for the Gen Farm with this thing. Plague Marines are coming out, but it's going to be a little late. The damage is going to get done.
Yeah, I think this should at least be all 3 generators, if not the whole thing with the Node 2. Still got like a quarter amount of the time for the Plague Marines to come out, but 2 generators already down. So I think definitely the Falcon as like a blind purchase was definitely quite a bit stronger than the Bloodletters. And luckily for Zev, he at least had a strong enough economy going into it that he was able to just start up another unit right after that with all the resources he had, but just the timing of it, he does lose the entire farm.
Yeah, so the farm goes down, and in addition to that, Daniel warps in some Warp Spiders right onto the field, forces off the Bloodletters, now pressuring the Chaos Space Marines. Things are looking suddenly very strong, although that being said, the Plague Marines are here, the Bloodletters are on the flank, but the Banshees managed to get the engage. If he can break this snare... Oh no, he turns his back around just as the last rocket comes in. Oh no.
Wow. I honestly think it's kind of bizarre that he actually succeeded in just taking out the Falcon right then and there. Like,
catastrophe. I mean, that's so huge. That's such a big turnaround right there.
because the Plague Marines, I mean, they're not exactly the hardest source of anti-vehicle damage out there.
They're quite potent. A lot of people kind of act like, yeah, it's not as big a deal, but they are.
I mean, a big part of it is that they have a pretty slow firing rate, so their raw DPS value is pretty low. And in a lot of cases where you actually have some kind of support for vehicles, it can be hard for Plague Marines to really take out a vehicle by themselves.
Yeah, the combination
so that's why
of
it
them,
makes it very
like,
surprising there.
firing the rocket while in melee with the Banshees, and the Falcon turning its tail at exactly the wrong time. Daniel's hurting from it a little bit, but honestly, he still has a good composition. He's got Dark Reapers out here now, which are a pretty heavy range source of damage. The Dark Reapers, along with the Warp Spider, Exarch, and the Spider Squad, I mean, that's going to be some severe range DPS coming in. And the Banshees can control the Bloodletters.
Apparently, at some point, I kind of missed it myself, but Chaos Space Marines are gone for Zev.
Yeah, they went down to the Warp Spiders on the left side of the map while he was focusing on that Falcon engagement. The Warp Spiders actually just turned the Chaos Space Marines into bits with those Death Spinners. It's just a little bit of drop micro from Zev in a crucial moment. So yeah, the combination of the Chaos Space Marines trading for the Falcon like makes it a pretty even fight still.
I think until Zev gets something new, I think DanielGrushin has like a significantly better army at the moment. Like the combination of the War Spiders and the Dark Reapers is a massive amount of range damage, whereas Zev has actually like very little. So we're actually going to see him just straight up replace the Chaos Space Marines, which in a way it makes sense, and at the same time I feel it might be a little inadequate.
Yeah, I mean, when you're bringing Chaos Space Marines to the field against Dark Reapers and Warp Spiders, I feel like you might want a Dread or something. I mean, you know me, I'm always looking for an opportunity to buy a Dread, but
I mean, at this point, the Chaos Space Marines would need to be like fully upgraded Siege to compete with the Warp Spiders. And then no matter what, they don't really compete with the Reapers. Oh, but Chaos Heretics will go down. I don't know. It's looking like DanielGrushin really just starting to run away with it at this time, despite the fact that I felt like early game, I think Zev had a bit of an advantage.
Yeah, Zev, I think, clearly has that early build down, right? That's clearly what he likes to play, that 2 Heretic Chaos Lord style with the Combo Flamer. Very, very potent against Eldar, but in Tier 2, we're kind of just seeing where he's just not able to keep up. The Bloodletters this game haven't really done a whole lot. He's had them for a while, but the Banshees seem able to handle it. The Eldar are fast enough that they're not really staying engaged with him often. Oh my gosh, even crack shot on the Dark Reapers.
Oh my god, crack shot on the Dark Reapers, increasing their range when they already have like better range than regular range units. Yeah, more and more, to me, it's feeling like DanielGrushin just kind of hammering the nails into the coffin on this one.
Man, one of the things about Dark Reapers too is that it is not very obvious. Like you have things like Siege Bolts and Warp Spires that are very obvious when this scary heavy range damage is coming in at you. And the Dark Reaper ranged fire is just a little goofy looking. It's like kind of plasma bolts, but they don't really travel all the way most of the time. I don't know. Sorry, that's just. I'm just noticing more things I'd like to request.
One of those mod things is
Well, yeah, like look at this. You can barely tell that they're.
Yeah, sometimes it looks like it's not even. Yeah, I think it's also. I don't even know what it is. I have no idea why it looks like that. So. Yeah, whenever Dark Reapers show up in like a lot of like casts that got a lot of views, it's either talking about how overpowered they are or about how like Eldar need to buy them. I mean, Dark Reapers, if I think I checked the damage, their stats correctly, I believe they have a range of 48, whereas most range units have a range of 38. So
yeah, and I think that's part of it too. I think the effect only travels so far, so at long range, the plasma bolts don't even. This is not relevant, especially to the game. But here we go. Blood Crusher's out. It's charging forward. So now at least the tables are turned a little bit. The Eldar is going to at least have to invest in switching that Shuriken Cannon to the Bright Lance to deal with a vehicle. He's going to have to be very careful with the Haywire Grenade, but he should be able to get into the position that maybe he can break the line, get the Bloodletters on the Bright Lance, and then have the Blood Crusher and Chaos Lord kind of help deal with the Banshees so the Bloodletters don't get torn up by Banshees. Yeah, on the far side, we see Warp Spiders tangling with some Chaos Space Marines. I think they're low enough that he will win that melee fight. I'm not sure.
It's getting kind of questionable. He needs like a model kill, and then maybe it'll go in his favor. Instead, he just retreats.
So Banshees were a little overzealous there. This could be. Oh my gosh, did they go down? They're going down. Banshees are out of here. Suddenly things are turning back around. The Bright Lance trying to get on that Blood Crusher. Did he get the grenade? He got the Haywire. The Blood Crusher's going to go down. And just chaos everywhere. Zev down to 3 squads. Daniel down to 4. Still having such superior ranged firepower, though. Zev kind of lost some of his critical stuff here, whereas I feel like Daniel has Dark Reapers. He's got the Warp Spider Exarchs. The Dire Avengers need to be careful here. They're throwing a grenade in.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that the Blood Crusher went down there. I would have thought kind of the way that I think that engagement should have gone is that kind of the Bloodletters needed to be like reserved for specifically teleporting on the Bright Lance, but instead they were more engaged with the Howling Banshees, which did get them the wipe, but it kind of came at the cost of the Blood Crusher. Meanwhile, those Dire Avengers.
Oh yeah, one of the Plague Marine rockets nailed that forward model. Every so often you'll see that happen. The accuracy for vehicle weapons against normal infantry targets is extremely low, but every so often that rocket will nail a model and usually just flat out kill it. Oh my gosh, and you can see this is what we were talking about with the Chaos Space Marines. They just can't even approach them.
There's actually, the more I look at the Chaos Space Marines, the more I realize that I felt that they actually just weren't a good purchase. Like, it's at least not without something else. I guess he had the Blood Crusher, and that was supposed to be a something else, but now it's gone because the Chaos Space Marines, like, they actually need to be fully upgraded to Tzeentch, not just like aspiring champion. They actually need to be like fully upgraded to Tzeentch to stand toe-to-toe with the Warp Spiders, and then, but that still means they still can't really deal with the Dark Reapers, and we're especially seeing without any upgrade, without, or at least with only the Eternal War, they're barely doing anything.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a Seer Council coming out here too, and once that hits the field, I mean, I don't know what Zev's gonna do.
And one of the
phase out, but the
one of the nice
about
things
to
here
expire.
is also that this Bright Lance is actually not useless. It has this little ability that sometimes I forget called Beam Scorch.
That's right.
Which actually just improves the damage that a squad takes. And oh my god, those grenades! That was absolutely incredible.
They're going in for the kill. They get it. Oh, my god. That's got to be GG right there. There's no coming back now. Yeah, he just throws in the towel. Zev is out of there. He had it. Yeah, in the engagement that the Banshees went down, I feel like he had a chance to bring it back right there, but didn't quite manage to do it. Zev might be slightly outclassed here, but I think it's a match he could win.
So very well played by DanielGrushin. I was wondering a little bit, like at least these players, you know, it's hard. I don't know what their like elo score is, but at least these players I thought they would be more evenly matched than I guess Zev and Calzi, and truth is they were. But I think DanielGrushin, especially considering he played random, turned out to be a little bit better than I expected.
Here we go. Game number 2 in our second match here. Or maybe our first. We'll just call the first game that was a Calzi 4 exhibition. This is our first Friday night fight match. So match 1, game 2. Zev is up by 1, or sorry, Zev's down by 1. I can't do anything today. It's Friday.
All right. So we got the sorcerer.
Oh man, you called it. You called it.
My wish was
Sinch heard
answered.
your call.
No, I like the idea of it. I'm actually now that it's here, I'm actually a little concerned with DanielGrushin. For DanielGrushin. I'm not actually 100% sure if this is good for him in terms of the matchup. Of course, it's tough to call. I kind of have that sorcerer bias where everybody always thinks that their main hero like loses all matchups. But at least in the past, I've definitely kind of struggled a bit.
Yeah, I feel like the sorcerer has a lot of great like AOE disruption options, right? And a lot of that doesn't matter against the Chaos Lord. So I mean certainly, granted, you can still get some awesome hits on Chaos Space Marines or Heretics.
Yeah, certainly if Doombolts connect on Heretics, they will absolutely demolish them. But it can also be kind of hard to get that, like, certainly just get it raw, like on the whole squad. Chances are, until we see like a Havoc, or unless it's combined with a Heretic on Heretic engage, we'll probably mostly see like partial Doombolt hits. So. In fact, it's funny, we got Nerlin in the chat. I remember like a game I played a long time ago against Nerlin in particular, where I think I played, of course, Sorcerer versus Chaos Lord against him, and I think the game went on like 20 minutes, but I think I lost like 300 victory points to 0.
Oh,
so
man.
even to the extent that I could like keep up,
sure,
with him, and of course he might have just been a better player, but it felt like, even if I could keep the game going, it was difficult to like get closer towards the actual win condition.
Yeah, I mean, Chaos Lord brings so much map presence to the field, you know, compared to a lot of other heroes. It forces you into these weird situations where you have to double or triple down on the Chaos Lord, and then he either caps the map running around on his own, or yeah, that was a whiff. So he either runs around and caps the map on his own because you ignore him, or you fight him and then his army caps the rest of the map. So it's this weird like double. It's a lose-lose situation sometimes with Chaos Lord, because you can see right here he's focused on these 2 squads with all his army, but the Heretics are running around on the far side. There goes a nice Doombolt, long-range artillery shot.
So certainly part of what I personally see as kind of a little bit troublesome for the Sorcerer is that the Sorcerer kind of lacks single target damage early on in the game. I mean, his single target damage right now is basically the Sorcerer himself and the Chaos Space Marines. So, and you only have 1 ranged unit as well. So again, you don't have the ability to kite the Chaos Lord the way you would as easily if you had, like, say, a Tech Marine and some Tacs and some Scouts. So the Chaos Lord can definitely just press forward quite a little bit more, especially with this build that DanielGrushin has. So for DanielGrushin, it's going to be a lot more about seeing really just trying to nuke those other squads rather than the Chaos Lord himself.
So we've got both sides sending heretics to the opposing power farms. It looks like a gen is going to go down over here, but probably at the cost of at least a couple of heretics here.
This is actually kind of scary, I think, for Zev. Okay, he retreats them out early enough. I was going to say, like, the longer he keeps them in there, the more he runs the risk of possibly losing the entire squad.
And it looks like the node's going to go down in return here. Both players kind of with the same exact build right now. Both players with a war gear on their hero. And then their aspiring champions. And it looks like they're both just going to stick with that until tier 2. Although who can say, because they're both pretty starved on resource right now. So maybe we'll see which one breaks and either feels pressured enough to get a tier 1.5 squad, or if they're both going to scream on into the next phase of the game here. Nice snag on a Chaos Marine there.
We do see the Sword of Flame out of the Sorcerer. In fact, going for the really old classic Vestments of the Warp versus Vestments of the Warp and the Sword of Flame. And I think this actually has the potential to do quite well. I kind of talked about that single target damage before. This is actually a pretty significant increase to his single target damage. So if he's running around chasing the Chaos Lord, he's actually really going to put a lot of pressure on him. Head-to-head, if he goes up against the Chaos Space Marines, puts a lot of pressure on their models, and that Coruscating Flame good in the Heretic versus Heretic engagement. So I'm actually really liking that build out of DanielGrushin.
Yeah, the war gear makes a pretty huge difference on the Sorcerer. I mean, like you said before, in the vanilla engagements, right, it comes down to if the Doom Bolts land or not, but this gives the Sorcerer a lot more, direct engage power.
He's going to use Coruscating Flame, and that's kind of to make it a lot harder for the Heretics to realistically win this fight. If the Chaos Space Marines weren't here, I would say clear win for the Sorcerer, and it looks like he might win this anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he's still beating the Heretics, and the Chaos Space Marines are low enough that I think
he just goes for the Chaos Space Marines. He's going to win against them too.
Yeah, so I mean, there's exactly what we were talking about, that staying power now, that ability to do damage to both the Space Marines and the Heretics. That's a pretty big win there.
So, and again, neither player going for tier 1.5 squad, at least so far. You know, with where they are in terms of their power, I would say they're both probably just going to go to tier 2.
Yeah, I saw it. He's got some sort of weird bug with his Sorcerer. I saw the Sorcerer playing the Doom Bolts animations a couple times here. And it seems like he's got some sort of weird bug with the Sorcerer. Well, Doom Bolts are apparently off the field now.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, they were kind of off the field once he did decide to go for Sword of Flame and Vestments of the Warp, since the combination of that does make it, basically you don't really quite have the energy to really use both that much. I mean, I guess maybe you could shoot out a cast of Doom Bolts, then consume a Heretic, and then go in. But basically, the abilities just compete with each other in terms of energy, so it's a little bit of a less of a Doom Bolt-oriented play with this.
Alright, so here we go. Big push coming in from Zev. Decides to think better of it. He doesn't quite have what he needs to push in here. Like I said, both players with similar armies means with just a difference of either a hero or one squad, you can't really take a big engagement. Here comes the Sword of Flame again. Teleport in. The Heretics win the melee fight. The Sorcerer forces off the Chaos Space Marines, hacking up. Oh man, a whole bunch of Heretics on retreat there. Not bad at all. Even has an additional generator down over here for tier 2. Zev's going for his standard, bringing out the Bloodletters. First thing in
Heretics
tier
were
2.
finished off.
Oh man, were they? Oh wow.
Yeah, Sorcerer chase after with the Vestments of the Warp. So I like the way DanielGrushin managed that. He used the Coruscating Flame on the Heretics. That gives them the win in the Heretic versus Heretic fight. And then he just teleports with the Sorcerer on the Chaos Space Marine. So it was a pretty clear win for him there. We're going to see blind Bloodletter purchase for both players. DanielGrushin actually cancels it. So he's going for something else, but he's also seems to be waiting.
Zev decides to repurchase his Heretics that he lost.
I think DanielGrushin's going for a Dreadnought.
I would have to assume, with the extra power over here, that just kind of screams Dreadnought to me.
Yeah, normally I would expect this matchup, the way I would expect this matchup to go is I would expect dueling Blood Crushers. And that also has the potential to end the game very quickly if one player actually succeeds in killing the other player's Blood Crusher, then sometimes that can be GG right there. But the Dreadnought coming out. I think in this case, it's a little bit more likely that we see a Corrin Dreadnought. Corrin Dreadnought classically has that that wonderful synergy with the Sorcerer, because you can send it in, activate Blood Rage, and then if it looks like it's in a position where it's going to die, you just warp it out of there. An old classic.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of been a Sorcerer staple for ages at this point. Really can be aggressive, super aggressive with that very powerful melee walker. With little, very little risk so long as you've got the red. So Bloodletters up here, showing that they're not to be messed with. Chaos Dreadnought comes stumping out here. So far, no upgrades.
Currently just in range. A part of that might just be that he wants to fight this right now instead of waiting for the upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, that's
he's already under attack.
Yep, and oh man, we have a summoning circle to make sure, yeah, see, he just wants to make sure he can buy some time, get his Dreadnought upgrade, keep the power alive. Summoning circle kind of guarantees the win in the engagement here.
So using the summoning circle, though, means that DanielGrushin might not necessarily have the Warp Global for the next engagement, because he won't necessarily have the red unless he can make sure he inflicts a lot of kills or take kills in that next engagement. Might have to wait until, like, the engagement after the next. So Plague Marines coming out yet again for Zev is kind of that anti-vehicle answer. We'll see how effective they are this game.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be even harder for them to get anything done this time around, because you've got the teleporting Sorcerer, and the Dreadnought is not going to be nearly as scared of them as the Falcon was. So it is going to have to pull back.
The Dreadnought is all by itself.
Yeah, he's a little crazy with that. Like you said, he doesn't have the red to teleport.
I think he takes a third missile shot on this Dread for free. Yeah, especially with the Worship. So I'd say at least going to be one more missile shot on the Dread, and I think these Plague Marines can continue to keep chasing. They're going to get at least one more.
There's nothing up here. Oh my gosh.
Okay, finally we got the Sorcerer chasing after the Plague Marines, but the Plague Marines are just kind of running away from him.
Yep.
At this point,
but now they're getting too close to the Dread. They get another missile shot, but the Sorcerer's not going to be able to stick around here. The Bloodletters will beat him in melee. It's one thing to take on Heretics, but Bloodletters are another thing.
Cascading Flame on the Heretics.
Oh my gosh, Grushin goes down, the Sorcerer is obliterated, the Dreadnought's perilously low, he can't even warp it away because the Sorcerer's right there next to him.
He's repairing it with the Heretics though, but it's actually being hacked away by the Bloodletters.
Yeah, the Bloodletters is low enough. Oh my gosh, this is a huge turnaround again. We see Daniel getting too cocky with his vehicle play. Throws the vehicle away, loses his Sorcerer on top of it this time around. The Blood...
Oh, and Bloodletters might see if they can finish off the Heretics, and they do. Wow, what a turnaround. Now, yeah, we do have Nerlin in chat, though, just saying, like, Daniel messed up hard, and I was going to say something to that effect, although, you know, in probably slightly, I don't know, easier or gentle ways, but it's the second time that we see Zev actually getting a lot of value out of the Plague Marines, but unfortunately, I feel like a lot of that value is coming out of basically DanielGrushin just not managing those situations correctly. Like both this game and last game, I honestly don't think the Plague Marines should have gotten either one of those vehicle kills. Like I don't. And
I mean, I still think they're a great response to vehicles. I don't think they should have singularly taken out the vehicles in the first engagement. Sure, I think they're a fine purchase still.
So yeah, I mean, it's not that I'm saying that they're a bad purchase. It's more just that by itself, I don't think that should have resulted in either of those vehicles being killed. I mean, yes, I know there's the Corrin Worship. Yes, I know that they have a snare. But what they don't have is their overall DPS is a little bit on the low side because they fire pretty slowly. And what that means is in a lot of engagements, if you have repairs for your vehicle, basically if you have support for your vehicle, a lot of times the vehicle can kind of weather the storm against Plague Marines long enough for you to be able to also do something about the Plague Marines. Like for you to get the Sorcerer to tie them up or to like knock them over with a grenade or something.
Yeah, so,
usually
unfortunately
you need
for
more
Daniel,
than just
he had the Dreadnought like way up in enemy territory all by itself, and Zev was just able to walk up to it and knock it, smack it right off the map. And then, you know, Daniel panicked when he realized what the situation was, overcommitted to the fight, and lost a bunch more on top of that Dread. And it was probably as big a way as you can botch the engagement without completely throwing the game away. So he's right on the edge of that now. He's going to tier 3 at least. Zev could follow him there before long if he so chooses. But right now, I mean, you can look at the army bar and see, like, Zev should be able to take all this map right now with little to no trouble. And I'm always curious when, if it's even a good idea to go tier 3 after you lose a bunch of tier 2 like that. I mean, oh my gosh, let the galaxy burn comes down. But yeah, you spend all that resource going to tier 3 after you just lost all this stuff. You've got very little map presence, so you're letting your opponent get all this catch-up time. The VPs are 2-0 cap right now, and it doesn't even look like he's going to win this engagement.
I would say the same thing about TAC missile launchers, Nerlin. All right, but Zev certainly coming back into this game pretty hard, just off the strength of that big engagement that he had. Plague Marine's going to be taking out the generators, and he's got a triple cap in victory points, looking to destroy all of DanielGrushin's power.
Oh my gosh, he's dropping some micro over here. That seems to be one of Zev's things. He doesn't seem too good at the multitasking. We've seen him lose squads entirely between engagements. He seems to not cycle through much, so he'll be watching. If he's microing one engagement, all his attention is there.
Second squad of bloodletters. That
right.
will be interesting.
Bloodletters are good. They're pretty good.
The second squad of bloodletters, like on the one hand,
I mean, he has to assume that something else big is coming. He finally got a gen bash, but it's quite late into the game. But you know, when you kill that much of your opponent's army, they're gonna have a larger income than you. I mean, Zev has almost all of the map right now, and they're simply tied for requisition income. So he has to know that there's a lot of power unspent, there's a lot of requisition unspent. He has to assume that either another vehicle is in here or his opponent has gone to tier 3.
I think the bloodletters are the double bloodletters. I do think it's weird, but at the same time, I think it's honestly fine. I think even if DanielGrushin manages to put out a predator or something, I think the combination of the double bloodletters with everything else can just like overwhelm the rest of DanielGrushin's army. And it looks like DanielGrushin, I believe, lost just another squad.
Okay, so DanielGrushin went for Terminators.
He's going to go for Terminators. Nerlin was trying to call that like he was going for Great and Queen Winner Phobos, which would be pretty good against the Bloodletters. I don't think the Terminators are very good against the Bloodletters, unless
I think that's actually of the options.
Claws.
I think that was his weakest one. Of anything he could have gotten, I think the Terminators are like the worst choice.
The worst choice, yeah. It's like at first I was saying like, because with the Predator, I feel like although the Bloodletters wouldn't be great against the Predator, they could at least just ignore the Predator somewhat and just like rip everything else apart.
Had he not spotted the second Bloodletter squad when he bought those? I think he did. I guess he's got a very strong ranged army right now, but I don't know, man. 2 squads of Bloodletters, they're just going to jump on top of that and shut it down. The victory points are evened out, so it's only just now Zev getting back into this. He was at a pretty huge victory point disadvantage for a while. But now, I mean, the Chaos Lord's doing the Sorcerer's doing a good job of capping the backline requisition over here, so at least trying to slow Zev's income down a little bit. More heretics coming out from Daniel. Daniel doesn't have any right now if he wants to be...
Oh man, getting another heretic squad at this time.
I mean, if he wants Siege worse up,
I'm actually honestly really questioning that.
Yeah, it's a rough situation right now. The triple cap is down. Daniel was just trying to survive right in front of his base. The heretics get obliterated right away. Oh my god, but that might be returned because the other heretics are going down as well. Lightning Claw Terminators are out here, but they're down to a single model. Even with the Lightning Claws, 2 squads of Bloodletters is no easy task to take down.
I was going to say like 2 minutes ago, but now I think this game is actually just over.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, the Heretics coming out and just immediately getting destroyed by the Galaxy
Yeah.
turn. Like,
I mean, it's like, honestly, even if they didn't just get destroyed by that, it's like, what are they going to do exactly anyway? I guess the most they would do is provide worship support for Daniel Grushin's Bloodletter squad. I think that's the most that they do.
well,
So we got a back cap by the Sorcerer.
yeah, just buying a little time. There's precious little left at this point, so any little bit he can do to slow the bleed can help. Zev's trying to get back his requisition. He doesn't want to let Daniel squeeze back into this game though. He needs to keep the pressure on. He needs to lock this out before anything bad can happen.
Yeah, and Zev can actually get something else now that could help him to, like, try to close out this game. So he gave up that decap. If he had actually gotten, like, a Dreadnought now, as silly as it might sound, like, if he put a Dreadnought, it's like a Khorne Dreadnought, those back caps are not going to happen.
Yeah, definitely.
Which might seem like an
And
like
against
an
the Lightning
overkill
Claw
for a Khorne
Terminators, like a
Dreadnought.
Khorne Dreadnought is kind of exactly what you want. If you want to shut that down, like, I mean, his melee prowess is gonna just be better between the Khorne Dreadnought and
Yeah, honestly, like, I actually called this over. I'm almost worried now that, like, Zev not going for something might actually be giving DanielGrushin a chance to get back into this game.
yeah,
Probably
it's,
not,
I feel like
but we'll
it's
see.
questionable to go tier 3 at this point. Like, just lock the game out.
So Bloodletters do engage in melee. Do they have Bloodlust active? I don't think they do.
There's a third squad of Bloodletters in here now, though, with another call-in from the Blood Sacrifice with the Chaos Lord. One squad does retreat. It's such a mess of melee, you can't really be sure what's happening. Let the Galaxy Burn comes in yet again. The Heretics fall back. The Chaos Terminators are getting low, but they're sticking it out.
Yeah, it's actually kind of amazing that DanielGrushin is actually still staying in this and that he just won that engagement. I don't know if maybe like a Bloodlust cast from Zev was on cooldown, because I think I did see him use it fairly recently before that, but I think if he had it, I think that could have given the fight in favor of his Bloodletters against the Terminators.
So we've got Siege Marines exchanging fire on both sides. The Chaos Terminators are going to say no to that anymore, though. Lightning Claws, I can't believe they didn't even get a kill there. Those Lightning Claws rip through Space Marines like nothing.
Alright. So Zev is going to be in tier 3 now. He is actually really close. He's going to get a Predator. Okay.
Okay.
I was going to say, I was wondering if he was going to get...
I was waiting for the Land Raider perhaps.
This was actually a situation where I actually think I would have liked the Phobos, and he wasn't too far off from it.
Right.
Because Phobos with Dirgecaster would absolutely wreck the Terminators. Like, the Terminators either can't go near the Phobos, or if they do, then they die to the Bloodletters.
Alright, so Siege Worship trying to buy some time to get them in there. 82 points left on the board. Victory points are still changing hands. Plague Marines on the far side over there. Terminators charging forward into some more Khorne worship, but the Siege Marines are here. The Chaos Lord's here. I think this is way too much for these injured Terminators to deal with. The Sorcerer's trying to do everything he can. Looks like we have a Summoning Circle coming on top of that. The Predator's coming out right now. If it moves into the engagement immediately, it might still be able to turn the tide here. Even with the Summoning Circle, Daniel just barely takes the engagement, but once all those extra Bloodletters expire, I think the Predator's going to have its rule of the field.
Predator is upgrading at this time. I almost feel like I would have liked to see it come out unupgraded so it could just participate in that fight earlier on.
Yeah, Zev just doesn't quite seem to have... I mean, I guess not that he needs to. He's so far ahead in VPs. He's doing a good job of continuing to keep the map locked down even during those engagements. Daniel just, I think, kind of fell apart there after he lost that one big engagement. He wasn't sure what to do after he lost all those squads. Went tier 3, lost most of the map. You know, the Zev, despite having a 30 higher pop army, still about 40 requisition ahead. Because you can see only the 1 point is still in Daniel's hands here. It's been a slow beat out, but unfortunately Daniel's out. Imagine Mirror without Doom Bolts. I think it was more
really
than
not
the
able
lack
to
of
use it
Doom
all
Bolts
game.
that took you out this game, I'm afraid. But
don't ever recall something like that happen where you couldn't use Doom Bolts the entire game.
Yeah, I even saw it. It was like the second engagement I saw. If we go back and watch this, if you go back and watch the VOD at any point, you can see the sorcerer. He does, you know, the Doom Bolt animation. He does the animation and nothing shoots out. And then it happened again later, and that's when Daniel realized that that it wasn't actually firing. It's probably some weird animation cancel bug. You know, there are a few strange, obscure bugs that happen in this game, but you know what that means? That means we're going to the ace match.
That it does.
All right, it's 1-1. Let's get that tiebreaker. Okay, we got RoboCop. We're waiting on R and Castet. Alright, we've got the casters. There's Zev. Alright, good. And we're waiting on... Who are we waiting on? We're still waiting on R? There we go. That's the spirit. All right. I don't want to start before. I guess all three of them are casting together on his channel.
That's a good question. I got no idea.
Got about 10 seconds. He either needs to get in here or one of them has to speak up for him. Yes, no, maybe? You guys there? No. Alright, good. There we go. Oh, hold on. Calderis,
Calderis. Yeah. The classic.
Forgot about him. Why were you complaining that you needed space for him before? Oh, these guys. Alright. Here we go. The ace match. Man, these are good matches. I like this.
Yeah,
Zev
this
and
is
Daniel.
this has been a good series so
yeah.
far. So it'll definitely be a question though of what is DanielGrushin gonna get on random this time.
Now, if Zev just goes for that blood crusher first, do you think that'd be a big difference in his play here? Oh no, it's the brother captain.
The brother captain.
Oh man, so we got We got the Chaos Lord versus the Brother Captain. Oh man, the two biggest,
I
baddest.
personally, definitely some big guys.
Heavyweight championship right here.
I definitely prefer Blood Crusher like earlier than later. I think also I like to see the Blood Crusher at all in some cases. We didn't see it at all last game.
Right.
Although at the same time, there was something I was saying early on where I feel like sometimes early, if both players go for like that early Blood Crusher, sometimes that can also be like a quick end to the game right there if one player kills the other person's Blood Crusher.
Your forces obey you.
Yeah, that's true, but I don't know. I feel like it has such good field presence.
Ready for eternal war.
All right then, so we'll see if Zev ends up going for that. DanielGrushin playing that Brother Captain. He's gone for the double ISTs, and at this point he's probably not going for a third IST and probably not going for a strike squad, given that he's put down the power node, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, he's dropped 2 generators right out of the gate here. Now, if Zev's paying attention, he would have heard that. We'll have to see how this goes.
Let's see, double power generators. I feel like that suggests DanielGrushin actually has so much requisition, so actually that could be interceptors. At first, when I saw double generators, I was going to say that seems more like purgation, but oh, it is going to be the purgation in the end.
Okay.
I think he might
So
have
he's
been able
going
to
for
put
some
down a
range
third generator
dominance
if he wanted to
here.
go purgation, though.
Your forces obey you.
What do you say?
I think he could have put down a third generator.
Yeah, if he
If he
wanted to
wanted to
just
go
spam
purgation.
power here, I think he could have. Just get those gems down right away. Use the range pressure to keep the chaos at bay. I mean, the
Yeah.
Brother Captain just aced a bunch of chaos heretics on the far side. Heretics do find the generators, but the purgation is moving in, so they're at best just going to get this one gem, if that.
Certainly no lack of range damage to kite and focus fire that Chaos Lord this time.
Oh my gosh, they
And-
still get the generator. That's so crazy.
Yeah, even under all of that, they're literally getting roasted alive and they don't care. And it's going to be double purgation out of DanielGrushin. The double purgation doesn't surprise me too much. I've definitely seen Shoulder Mount do some of that stuff, although he would do more like triple ISTs into the double purgation. And I think the idea behind that is wanting to be able to control in this case, wanting to be able to control the heretics. Otherwise, I think the heretics run around quite a bit and cause a lot of problems. Also does obviously give him a lot of generator bashing potential if he can make it over there. And when
Yeah, I mean, I
fights
don't
close
think there's
enough there.
anything that's going to stop him. This build that Zev uses so much, I don't think he can stand up to this kind of range firepower.
Yeah, I
He's
think
got
especially
the double purgation. He's got grenades on his ISTs. Like, there's no way they're going to be able to close that distance.
Yeah, not only that, like if DanielGrushin just commits his full army, I think he can just straight up bully his way onto the power farm, and I don't think Zev can actually do that much about it.
Right, exactly. The Comet Flamer's out here, but I mean, there's so much range firepower. They just don't care. They'll just outshoot
Oh
him.
man, they will take those Stormtrooper models down so quickly though. So DanielGrushin's still kind of splitting up though. My idea was more just like actually commit the whole army.
Yeah, I
to
think
the
he should have
power
just
bash.
taken all this range damage and just shove it right down his throat.
So it doesn't look like that'll happen anytime soon though, as he does have units kind of split up and getting forced off or kind of focused down a bit by the Chaos Lord. Chaos Lord himself though certainly getting focused down.
So, yeah, like, is Zev going to respond to this? He's spotted all this now. Is he going to finally get a Havoc or Raptors or something onto the field, or is he just going to continue? He has to know his Gen Farm's in trouble right now.
Yeah, Nerlin recommends the Raptors, but we're going to see the Havoc out of Zev.
Yeah, I don't know if the Havoc's the right choice. You got the Brother Captain, you got all this potential suppression and knockback.
Heretics, I mean, the thing is, they're going to go around for the flank, but we should have, like, that Purge by Fire ability from... Yeah, this is not going to
Oh
work.
my gosh. Heretic
And I
just
mean,
melting under all of this.
yeah, maybe DanielGrushin loses a model here from the Chaos Space Marines, or he doesn't. But either way, it should be the whole farm. All right,
So the
Havoc
Havoc
finally
can
does
get the
suppress the
full
whole thing,
suppress here.
but the Purgation will shoot out a burst of flame anyway. They're trying to see if they can finish it off. They
Yep,
do.
they
They actually get it even under the suppression.
They get that last little spurt. That said, up top, we do have Heretics again trying to kill a generator. So if the Heretics kill this generator, it's still just, it's still 2 gens down to, you know, effectively 4.
And they're actually going to continue to ignore the Brother Captain and see if they can take down this whole generator farm. This is actually going to be at least all of the generators. I don't think the Heretics will be able to stay long enough to get the node, though. So this is
Brother
actually
Captain
pretty
with
funny.
his unending pledge, giving him more energy regen and heals on attacks. Yeah, they get 2 more generators, so really, I mean, both players have killed 3 gens, and the only difference is that Grushin got the node as well. He is going to be a good deal ahead in power of his opponent because he does have both the contested power nodes. And he's been holding most of the map, so that's not insignificant.
Still a win for DanielGrushin in the end, but Zev managed to make it not as bad as it could have
Yeah, he evened the score a little bit. But Daniel still had most of the map throughout all of that.
been. Brother Captain gets pretty close to dying. Maybe not that much. Big health pool does mean even when it looks like he has not much of a bar left, he's actually got like a nice fat 100.
Yeah, Nerlin chiming in again saying that we should probably... Chaos Lord probably should have gone for his Dark Halo instead of the Combat Flamer.
Your units fulfill your command.
Because his range damage isn't that much that threatening to this kind of blob. And that Halo could give him a lot more sustainability on the field against all this.
Yeah, it does just give him like so much more health to work with. He can draw so much more aggro. And, I mean, it's certainly a lot of range damage out of DanielGrushin, but the Purgation is obviously not offering great single target damage.
Oh, Heretic's getting melted!
Yeah, Zev's having a real hard time, honestly, getting any value out of his Heretics, which is another reason why Raptors would be seen as a little bit more desirable here, because the Raptors can initiate, and that also makes it really easy for the Heretics to get in.
We have the advantage.
I think there's going to be another time where Heretics are going to approach. They'll just get slowed again by Purge by Fire, or I think that's the name of the ability. And they'll just instantly retreat out of there before they just lose more models.
Call now upon the unholy power of the chaos.
And here comes the first Rhino.
Oh, the Rhino, those metal boxes. I think I caught a few discussions about the Rhino recently.
Oh yeah?
That I think there was definitely some complaining about the Rhino, saying that it's almost like a tier 2 tank.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean that's
grenades go
what
from
people
those
have been
Chaos Space
saying
Marines.
since it's had its las cannon, right? Like that it's just a tier 2 predator effectively.
Oh man, remember the tier 1,
Do not lose your requisition.
tier 1 Rhino
Yeah, the tier
with
1
super
Rhino.
heavy infantry armor?
Mm-hmm.
Those were the days, or maybe they weren't. I don't know if that was actually. I just remember, it's just wow, yeah. It used to be that way, and now it's not.
Alright, so we've got one silencer, and the second hasn't been upgraded yet. Razorback now with the heavy bolter.
Of course, it technically is a Razorback, even though in-game it's still called a Rhino,
Right, yeah.
according to all of the research I've done.
Yeah, the Razorback is just a Rhino with the heavy bolter turret, right?
Yeah. One of the questions I have that I often just forget to think about is how much damage does the Rhino actually do when you factor in the Storm Bolter and the Heavy Bolter combined. And I just looked it up, and as long as the stats that I'm looking at are correct, it's actually pretty insane.
Oh, yeah?
At least according to the codex on the website, the Storm Bolter on top of the Rhino does 37 DPS.
Okay.
On top of the Heavy Bolter, which does 55.
Oh, wow. So it's almost about 60% more damage than I think it was.
Yeah, if that's correct, that's actually insane.
Alright, Blood Crusher is out this time around. Silencers hop in the Razorback, get the heck out of there. ISTs are still on the forward side. The grenades kind of whiff on the Heretics, though, and the Heretics manage to get into melee. Brother Captain's very low as well here, and it looks like they might actually just get overwhelmed by the cash.
Zev is still practically pinned in his base, though. Those Chaos Space Marines will get incinerated. Purgation will have to get off the field because of that Blood Crusher oppressing them, but, I mean, this is still looking pretty rough for Zev. Oh, God, these Chaos Space Marines, they're not going to finish this, I don't think.
I don't think so. The Brother Captain's hitting pretty hard at this point. He's already got... oh, man,
wow,
yeah, he
Zev
just
just
throws in the
concedes right
towel.
there.
I was about to say, he has the halberd right now. Oh, I hate that I can't look at tooltips when the game's over. How much damage does that halberd do? Do you remember? It's a lot.
Oh, yeah, Nerland, I read it incorrectly. You're right. Although, even still, Nerland, that's still pretty insane, in my opinion.
So here we go. Our last match, best of 3. Shroom versus oLev. What do you think, Kratel? Just call it now. What's the final score?
I'm gonna predict Shroom winning. I'm a little undecided on whether I want to say it's gonna be 2-0 or 2-1. I think I don't know. I have this impression in my mind of Shroom being the better player, but I think I also had the same impression in my mind when Bruce Campbell fought against oLev, and then
yeah, that's true. I mean,
oLev ended up winning.
oLev proved last week that he's a tough customer. I mean, Shroom definitely has a reputation of being a tough player himself. So, Chaos. Looking at the matchup, we've got Chaos versus Tyranids. We've got the Chaos Lords for Shroom. Hive Tyrant for the Tyranids. Another heavyweight brawl here. Two big bads throwing down against each other, and double Hormagaunts, Termagant opening, along with the 2 Heretics for Shroom. So pretty standard stuff on both sides. It's going to come down to who plays it better. Let's see where it goes. Hive Tyrant moving into the center to intercept the Chaos Space Marines. Chaos Lord coming up from the south. And Hormagaunts, we're stalling there a little bit, but now the Heretics are moving in, trying to catch out these Termagants. Buying a little bit of time. Heretics get the Doom Blast off. Pretty significant,
I think that was a good
but I
Doom
don't think
Blast.
that's going to be enough. The Termagants are going to be getting out of here. But
I think Shroom is going to win this fight.
yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised that he's pulling the Hormagaunts down here instead of just letting them cap up top. I guess he just assumes that there are Heretics up there that he's not going to be able to contend with. Another Doom Blast could be it, but the Heretics are going to go down. He was a little too brazen with that squad. Kill the Weak is still on the field, so you can see the Hormagaunts are trying to evade over here. Those little buggies skittering away easily enough, and the second squad of Hormagaunts going to go straight for the power, which isn't even noted. It might get decapped here. 140 HP full models. Okay, hey man, that's the name of the game. Sometimes things happen. If you're using Doom Blasts a lot for your damage, I mean that's spread out damage across all models. That's kind of just how it happens.
This is, I don't know, that at first that engagement was looking good for Shroom. I liked the way he was actually able to catch 2 squads with the Doom Blast, and that looked like it was what was winning him that fight, but then I guess just kept keeping the Heretics in there too long. I'm a little surprised that, yeah, this power node ended up getting decapped. No node put on it to stop that from happening, so...
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty huge. oLev saw the Heretics go down, and he knows he can just be greedy. He drops the full gen farm, he decaps the opposing gen farm. Shroom's gonna fall behind in tech. It's not as big a deal in the Tyranid matchup, but it's still... You don't want to be that far behind when it comes down to it, especially versus Hive Tyrant. Hive Tyrant Tyrant Guard combination can be actually quite nasty.
Yeah, I feel like he's going to be super behind.
And you can see the Hive Tyrant just poking away here at the Chaos Lord. He is eventually going to have to fall back. I believe the Hive Tyrant's DPS is a little bit better.
It's about 40-ish, I think, out of the gate.
Sure. So no further unit squad purchases here. Double CSM, double Heretics. oLev is not impressed.
Yeah,
I think
double
that's,
Chaos
I think
Space
that's
Marines.
good though, because I mean the Heretics can control the Hormagaunts pretty well, and then the Chaos Marines just pour in fire.
It's a very rec-heavy opening. It's a very rec-heavy opening. Investing all that rec in just putting out the squads means he's a little bit low on, you know, putting down requisition for the generators. It's a slower economy than like if he had only gone for a single Chaos Space Marine, put down some generators, and then going into a tier 1.5.
Right, well I think he just recognized not having his gens down for so long and getting his power decap that he probably just needed to get something else on the field. Normally, Tyranids are going for such big openings that you kind of want a lot of squads on the field to help deal with the map control. Here comes a nice looking kill of the week. I'm calling. Oh no, he goes for the. I thought that was the kill of the week. Instead, he goes for the incineration on the ground over there, which the Hormagaunts largely just ignore. And now here comes the full Tyranid forces coming in over here. Hormagaunts and Heretics scuffling in melee. Claws versus swords right now. And oh my gosh, knockbacks happening everywhere.
Oh no, Shroom is going to lose another Heretic squad.
Heretics go down. The Space Marines aren't looking good either. The Comet Flamer's down over here. Termagant's even getting a level at this stage. Very early for levels up on those range squads, but so many units have fallen for Shroom. Shroom's just getting ripped from limb from limb.
Oh my god. I think he loses another model here.
Those are not cheap.
He's lucky if he doesn't.
Oh my
Right,
gosh. Shroom is not a happy camper right now. He's talking shit in the game and everything. I think he just goofed up his engagements a little bit. He kind of wore out his welcome in both of those.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think what also goes on here is what I looked at there is kind of the key moment in that engagement was the Ravener Burrow, and I think that's part of why, you know, we saw Shroom just go for the double tick, double CSM, but a lot of times what the tier 1.5 squads bring more so than your baseline squads is they bring the utility. So that Ravener Burrow there was just such a key moment in that engagement that really just gave it to oLev.
Alright guys, the storm is intensifying here, so I'll let you know if anything starts getting power or flickery here. Hopefully nothing goes out, but we'll see how it goes. Just giving you guys a heads up. It's a shame because I'm interested to see how this game progresses with oLev and Shroom. I mean, like we said, we kind of figured oLev was maybe the dark horse in these past couple Friday night fights. But
I gotta stop underestimating him.
I can't tell if it's us or the people he's playing against. Here comes another burrow strike, knocking everything down.
That was such a great burrow as well.
The area of effect on those burrow strikes seems so big sometimes. You can even see it coming and oftentimes still can't quite get out from above it. And burning down the Hive brood nest over here this time around.
He caught like 4 or 5 models with that one burrow. Brood nest should go down eventually. The immolate ability stopped. All right, now he has to actually.
I mean, honestly, I think he would actually just kill it faster if he stayed in range mode.
I think you're actually right.
Yeah, because it doesn't have like the heavy building armor or anything like that. It actually goes down quite quickly to piercing damage.
Oh, Chaos Lord's in a really bad position. He's going to retreat. If the Hormagaunts respond to this, and the Hive Tyrant too, I think they can wipe him.
I think it's better to just stay on the power. You got to deal with, if you come off the power, you're taking a bunch of damage from those Chaos Space Marines, and then there was also the Doom Blast to consider as well. So I think it was better to just stay on the power, keep that melee range damage resist, steal a node, and work over these Heretics. We can see, I mean, Shroom is just bleeding so much.
Down to 2 models.
Yep, the worship continues, but I mean, the treasure belt, as it were, in this map is just all blue right now. All the contested points in the hands of oLev right now. oLev tier 2 getting a Zoanthrope. Interesting.
I actually think the Zoanthrope is really, really good right now, at least for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, against the double Chaos Space Marines, it's hard to argue with.
Right now, I actually think there's very little that Shroom can do about it. He's going to need to do like some fancy maneuvering with the Chaos Lord, but he actually has enough resources that he had a blood pressure hidden behind that tier 2 upgrade, which I didn't realize. So that makes things a little bit more questionable.
Oh my gosh, these Chaos Space Marines! Oh, I didn't think he was. It was a bit of a game of chicken right there. Who was gonna hit the retreat button first? I think if the Chaos Space Marines, it's tough to call. The Hormagaunts might have died to the AoE. The Chaos Space Marines might have died to the melee. It's a tough call. Oh man, here comes a blood sacrifice, burning out one of those Chaos Space Marines to call in some bloodletters. At least does route that Hormagaunt squad, but that's a big price to pay just to keep your squad from going down. Oh my gosh, he was focused on the other engagement.
He really needed that to not happen.
Oh my gosh, it's rough. It's rough. I don't think Shroom's got a good position in here at all. He's down to 150 victory points already.
I think. And that's also another moment where I think that Chaos Lord going down might have been like kind of the nail in the coffin, or at least one of many to come. Whereas, like, I think with the Chaos Lord and the Blood Crusher, I think he stood a chance, especially if he can engage before oLev can get a Venom Brood out on the field. But with the Chaos Lord gone, he's kind of screwed.
Yeah, Shroom's going for the double Siege Marines. Another Capillary Tower comes up here. The Blood Crusher is here to pressure the Zone Thrope. The Zone Thrope needs to get out of there. Will it survive? Oh, the special attack! Oh, man. Oh, poor Shroom, never lucky. Well, it looks like the Retro Wave bugs are going to escape with this victory this time.
I think Shroom is done here.
Yeah, Shroom's over it. He's going to throw in the towel, rally himself for the next match. I mean, Shroom's a great player. I think he just got caught a little off guard there. I think that engagement by the power farm was just him sticking around a little too long. He had to have known that something like Raveners were coming onto the field shortly there. He's just a little too far forward, a little too brazen. And like losing that second Heretic squad was just too much. oLev is the sleeper bruiser in these Friday night fights, man. He's coming out swinging.
So obviously we're going to see that sorcerer, and yes, he can nuke down. Yeah, he can nuke down pretty much any of the squads, but I'm definitely worried about the sorcerer a bit against the Lictor Alpha.
All right, so oLev's up 1-0. Let's see if Shroom can bring it back around. oLev might be the man to beat if he pulls off this victory here in this second Friday night fights in a row. He took down Bruce last week, taking down Shroom this week. Venjitron's saying he's also been awarded once a Best Team Player of the Year award in Venji's. Apparently, Venji,
he would know.
All of his observing, he awards a Best Team Player.
Yeah, he watches more 3v3s than anyone else. He would know.
All right.
So we're going to see double Termagant this time out of oLev.
All
Shroom
right,
going
so
for it, double
switching
tick
up.
again, though.
Now, does he know the other player picked a different hero? I guess both of them switched heroes, so I'm not sure if either is aware of that.
Yeah.
I'm
not
never
sure
if we should like require that the players announce their heroes to one another or not.
Yeah, I don't know. But if it's a blind hero pick, I think the blind hero pick kind of favors oLev for the moment.
Sure. Okay, and the Lictor's gonna be looking for some trouble on this side of the map. The heroes will spot each other here in just a moment. I'm not sure if they were actually in range there.
I think the Lictor Alpha is going to look for something else. He's going to look for these heretics. And
oh man, if he can get the knockback, he'll deny the cap over here. Heretics and Hormagaunts.
Do we see any early squad losses? No. Ooh. Heretics still in a little... No, they're fine.
Oh, and this time we have... Okay, so we're seeing the Termagant and Spore Mine play over here. Oh man, some nice kiting there from oLev, putting the Spore Mines in, turning around, getting the volley.
What is this?
Are you lost?
Oh, he's talking about this.
He was playing it. He was microing around a little too much with the Spore Mines. Forgot about his Lictor, who ventured into the base turrets of Shroom. has to fall
that
back.
was-
So that does buy a little time for Shroom to kind of come back out on the map without the Lictor harassing it. If the Lictor was still out here on the field, these squads might have a hard time even just coming back out here. They would just be getting flesh hooked, knocked around. There's some spore mines over here looking. Oh man, is he going to try to blind detonate some spore mines over here? Nope.
Well, it's very nice of Shroom to remind oLev to retreat. Alright, Chaos Space Marine's a little too low for this. At risk of losing a model here if they do press forward.
Yeah, I mean, this is the spore mines aren't doing a lot, but they're doing just enough, right? They're keeping the Chaos Space Marines low health enough. They didn't lose any models, but they're gonna have to sit in base for like 30 seconds to heal up full for another engagement. Lictor.
So it kind of buys time and space.
Yeah.
Oh god, no, Lictor.
Yeah, Lictor's ripping apart the Sorcerer on the far end over there. Hormagon's continuing to decap, but the Sorcerer did a great job on the western side. He capped almost the entire map, so that's some good income coming in for Shroom over there. Noise Marine's coming out here as well, which is going to be a pretty huge answer to this.
Hormagons need to
build.
retreat. Alright, they will get out in time. Warriors leaping into combat. One of those heretic squads is getting low.
Oh my gosh, is he going to lose heretics again? That squad does have two
it's
models.
so close.
Oh my
no.
gosh, this
It was
squad,
a lead model
however...
that was killed. And that's another heretic squad down.
Oh dear. Warriors get used so infrequently these days, I feel, that I feel like people underestimate the power of their knockback. Sometimes when the Warriors come in and they like one at a time get that squad knockback, it's really hard to deal with.
Yeah. Alright, these Noise Marines out on the field. They're ending up forced melee. Okay, they actually go for a close range cacophony. I didn't see that coming.
Oh, look at that Doom Bolt!
Yeah,
Oh,
I
that
like
was
that,
a
actually.
beautiful shot. Will the Termagants go down? Looks like they're going to just barely survive. But that was a beautiful play right there. The combination of Cacophony and Doom Bolts ripping apart those two Termagant squads. And now the Warriors in a lot of trouble as well. They can deal with the Heretics, but the Sorcerer adds just enough DPS that it makes it quite spooky for the Warriors to stick around.
Meanwhile, Lictor Alpha still trying to cause some problems. Did flesh hook and kill a single model. Has the Toxin Miasma again.
Yep, speed and damage reduced by a quarter, I believe. Is that correct? Yep.
Yep.
And
Also
a little
does
bit of a
it-
dot on that as well.
Yeah, the damage over time. So it's pretty good damage. And then just going for the adrenal glands. Adrenal glands on the Lictor Alpha, that is. Not actually offering any utility. It's pretty much just a statistical boost. Just trying to make that Lictor Alpha a little bit tankier and have his abilities up more often, I think.
Okay, so yep, health up, health regen, energy by 50, and energy regen. So he can actually, once he gets his energy back up, he can pretty much just run around, be stealth. He's a little tankier. The Cacophony coming out here, knocking the Lictor back yet again. Dropping some sick beats over there. Oh my gosh, and another big Doom Bolts on both of the Termagant squads. As soon as they come out from the base, they're down to about half health already. But man, so this is what we're seeing now. I mean, we're seeing the Warriors with the Termagants used much better in this match than we did in the previous.
Oh no, Coruscating Flame goes on the Heretics, but they're already taking a lot of damage. Try to run away from the Warriors, and eventually they will manage to scare off the Termagants by closing toward them.
Yeah, the
and
Warriors
finally
probably
the Warriors are
gonna
going to be
lose
forced
the
off.
model. Maybe, maybe not. They're just beefy enough that it looks like they're going to escape. Hormagon's capturing the whole far side of the map over there. And
If
Noise
we had a
Marines-
teleport, he might have been able to get another model.
Yeah, potentially. But Noise Marines are on the power now. Lictor Alpha does get the flesh hook, so preventing them from doing too much more. Kills the forward model, which is actually probably good for them, since that will allow them to engage in range fight again.
I don't think this is enough for oLev's defense. He's going to need the Warriors to come in at some point.
Oh,
but
look at those
the
Doom
Noise
Bolts!
Marines are in melee.
Oh my gosh, another 8 or so Termagants go down right there.
Yeah, I didn't think that was going to be enough for oLev to win that. Now the Warriors coming out here.
Now
I mean, I guess
they're
they
out
might
here
be able
too
to scare
late
off
though.
the
He's trying
Noise
to prevent
Marines.
the gens from going down, I guess. Oh my gosh, he might actually get these Noise Marines.
But he might also lose the Warriors.
I think it'd be worthwhile. I think, I mean, what do you, I don't remember what Noise Marines cost, but I feel like just getting those Noise Marines off the field is worth it.
Off the top of my head, I'm going to say 350 requisition and 30 power.
Yeah, that's what I figured they were like a 30 power squad. Oh, he attempts to dodge. He does dodge at least with one squad there. But, man, the Doom Bolts have been brutal in this second half of the Tier 1 battle over here. Shroom and oLev exchanging blows heavily, but both players about to head into Tier 2. The Hormagaunts have managed to take the power on the far side. Take pretty much everything on the far side with the exception of that way out power node over there.
Man, it's been a better game for Shroom than last game. And at the same time, it's starting to feel like oLev is starting to do pretty well again. Like, look at the map at the moment.
Oh my gosh, the Doom Bolts are paying off in dividends here. The map is very red right now. Oh, even dodging the flesh hook with a little teleport there.
I think you can also dodge it with a Coruscating Flames cast.
Oh yeah, because yeah, it just locks down the animation for a brief moment.
I think you're immune to knockback during a cast of that.
Yeah, but things are looking rough. It's a triple cap. The VPs aren't that dire yet. He's only down by about 100. He's still got plenty of time. Hormagaunts haven't even been in these past few fights though. They've been going pretty all right.
oLev, is he needs? I feel like he just needs to hit the tier 2 button.
Yeah, I don't know if he's just forgetting and he's focused elsewhere. There's not much macro in this game, but you got to remember to at least buy your squads and hit those upgrades in a timely fashion, lest you fall behind.
If there's something that undoes him, that could be it. Like if Shroom could actually get out of Blood Crusher fairly soon.
Okay, there he goes. He finally hits the button. But he will be behind a little bit, and where he should have been even. It's still a triple cap though. It's just now finally starting to change hands, so it's gone down to about 150 victory point deficit for Shroom. And here comes the blood. Oh no, blood letters. All right, it's some sort of blood something or other. It's chaos, so there's always a lot of blood involved. And Hormagaunts come back out onto the field. Melee is not the prowess of the Chaos Space Marines, and along with the Lictor up here, things are going to be looking a little tricky.
Flesh Hook pulls in a model, and that's just going to be the retreat from the Chaos Space Marines, and they lose that model that gets pulled in. Just so much time for that Lictor Alpha to just rip it apart.
oLev needs to use Stalk more. Has he not? I guess he hasn't been. He's been fairly obvious about his Lictor Alpha mostly. Oh my gosh, these Termagants spotting the Bloodletters, getting out of there immediately after those Doom Bolts hit. And if anything's been keeping Shroom in the game, it's those Doom Bolts, man. Oh, the Dark Flame's coming down. Is it going to finish off the Hormagaunts? Oh my gosh. It is not. 4 HP on that last squad. It was kind of right between the two retreating squads. It wasn't exactly where it needed to be. If it had been a little more to the right, I think those Hormagaunts would have been roasted. But as it stands, one model escapes. Raveners coming down over here. And,
Raveners? Actually, I think the Raveners do make sense.
Yeah, I mean, a little more disruption. Some people are saying Gene Stealers, don't go to Tier 2 to buy Tier 1 units.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why what I originally thought of, like, yeah, like, you go Tier 2 and then buy a Tier 1 unit. But on the other hand, I also feel like, I mean, he lost his warriors. So I don't feel too bad about the Ravener purchase, though.
No, I mean, me neither. I mean, Raveners, as much as they're a Tier 1 squad, they're just a really good Tier 1 squad. So I don't think you can complain about that too much. He still has access to Tier 2 options should the need arise. Oh, but he is losing his power on both sides of the map right now. Shroom doing his best to get back into this game. Let's see if he can manage to do it. Things have been looking rough for him so far, and this is his last chance to bring it around for this week's Friday Night Fights. The node goes down, the Bloodletters demons teleport out
with all 4 models.
And a little worship will patch those boys right up. That's the thing, if you don't kill a Bloodletter model, they're going to come back at full health before much longer. Look at how fast they regenerate.
Yeah, and they'll be able to ambush those Termagants out of infiltration. Doom Bolts go in. Not a great cast of Doom Bolts.
Oh, but a summoning circle over here. More Bloodletters coming onto the field. Eight or so Bloodletters will come out of that summoning circle.
Oh, Bloodletters have been stunned. Not even entirely sure by what. Enhanced muscle coil.
Oh, do the Raveners have their permanent burn now? Oh, okay. So yeah, see, there's a tier 2 upgrade.
Hormigons are dead. No! The sorcerer! What happened?
Oh my gosh, he's been trying to kill those Hormigons so bad and just can't quite do it. I know he's got to be frustrated over there.
My God!
Oh my gosh, he ate that last
that
last model. He needs to get those guys out of there. They've got 15 health. If a Tyranid even looks at them the wrong way, they're going to be dead. Dreadnought's on the field though.
But he actually just got so much value out of supporting those Bloodletters with worship, and then just kind of cycling through the cooldowns with the phase shift into the warp.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a huge difference. Bloodletters with worship support are a whole different thing. Oh my gosh, an amazing special attack there on the Raveners. 2 models go down. The third might even to this Dreadnought. The flames come down again. The
Flames,
Dreadnought
I don't know
isn't
if that's
firing
enough.
though.
We'll see. Is it enough?
Yup. Oh my gosh, the
there was
Raveners
also
are gone. The Dreadnought's in the
chasing him.
base. Suddenly things are looking dire. The Dreadnought's still doing damage. Might even be able to take out these Hormigons if they're not careful. Oh my gosh, big plays coming in from Shroom, bringing it back into here, and it looks like he's going to teleport away, but it was just before it finished off the the Hormigons. Just a moment too soon. And oh, we're seeing the Dreadnought get upgraded to the good old Huggy Boy. He's out here to show the Nids some affection with those 2 great big hugging arms.
So Shroom really coming back into this game.
There are Venom Broods out here now. Losing the Raveners is a big deal, though. That's a pretty big investment, especially considering the upgrade he got on that. I don't think the muscle coil is that cheap, is it?
I'm afraid that I don't know the cost of. I can't even give you an estimate off the top of my head.
All right, so we see the Chaos Sorcerer teleport away. The buggies are taking the map back for the time being, but Shroom's brought it back around, man. It is now back to anyone's game. Victory point disadvantage less than 100 now. So a little bit more time, and man, those Bloodletters have been getting some serious work done. We got teleporting Bloodletters, teleporting Sorcerer, along with the big mean Hugbot. This is not where you want a ranged army to be.
All right, so while I may not know those Tyranid stats off the top of my head, I did just look it up. Turns out enhanced muscle coil, again, as long as my source isn't outdated, only 40 requisition and 10 power.
Oh, okay. I thought it was more expensive than that for some reason.
But I'm looking at the codex on the website, which is, I think, a version behind.
Sure.
So victory points certainly starting to even out for a Shroom. This Dreadnought certainly looking to do some things. The only real answer is the Venom Brood.
Yeah, and we're seeing oLev sit on tons of oh, there we go. I was about to say, we're seeing him sit on tons of Wreck and Power. Gene Stealers, Gene Stealers against a Hugbot? I don't think that's the right call. Okay, he does go into tier 3. I was about to say, I think he, yeah, you can see Raziel saying that he needs effects or he's through. So I think oLev realized that at just the right moment as well. Had he not seen the Dreadnought yet? Maybe he hadn't seen the Dreadnought get upgraded. But upon seeing that now, he's definitely going into tier 3.
The
Blood
Dreadnought
Rage
going
is
all the way into
activated.
base.
And these Venom Cannon Warrior Broods are just going to kite around for as long as they can. Corn Rains on the backside, broke down the node, and are capping the power. But oLev's sitting on plenty of power for the moment, at least enough to get himself
Just chasing them around in base.
Yeah, but again, I mean, we're talking about Sorcerer. Sorcerer can do this at almost no cost except for some red later on. So, oh my gosh, you might even get the Warriors. The Warriors,
I think he
unfortunately,
gets the
moved
Warriors.
into a position that,
Yeah, he
oh,
absolutely
man, it
gets
stopped.
the Warriors.
There's no way it's getting away. Move it! No, he let it get snagged. Tossed overhead. Goodbye, Venom Cannon Warriors.
They're targeting the hive right now.
I mean, it's in Blood Rage. It's going to target whatever's closest to it.
Oh my god.
Oh,
All right, oLev calls the GG. Yeah,
oLev
he
had
can't do
it in
anything
his
else about
grasp. He had such a good tier 1. He had an amazing opening. And the Dreadnought just shut him down. He was not ready for it. Not at all. He had no answer. And the Bloodletters and the Dreadnought, I mean, came in, ripped the Tyranid forces apart, and that's going to be 1-1. oLev and Shroom are tied up in this last match of Friday Night Fights. Okay, here we go. All right.
All right, will indeed be the Eversor Assassin. Now, if we do have the Eversor Assassin against Tyranids, I wonder if will we see the double strike squad opening.
Yeah, I'm curious. Not to mention that Eversor has some pretty great AoE options of himself.
Well, we already see the first strike squad. It's just a question of will we see a second.
Okay, so one strike squad comes down, one Hormagaunt as well for the Hive Tyrant, and a second, so we're gonna have triple Hormas. Let's see if we go double strike squad.
Yeah, triple Hormas for oLev, map control. I mean, one of the things that I had totally forgotten about Hormagaunts a long time ago is that they actually have a base speed of 6.5, which is faster than most other tier 1 units, so they're
Yes,
just
they
pretty
are
fast.
Quite quick.
Okay, so we're not going to see the double strike squad shenanigans. Instead, we're going to see Shroom go for something a little bit more standard, going for the double ISTs. Trying to play him honestly instead of just trying to cheese him.
Stormtroopers reporting ready. Spotters reporting power node.
And Brawler's claiming if Shroom micros correctly, he should have the upper hand. I feel like, I mean, in general, Grey Knight squads just have a lot of utility. In addition to having pretty good damage output on top of that. So we'll see what it comes down to. Strike Squad already getting engaged by two Hormagaunt squads.
I don't think those Strike Squad want to be there, though.
No,
we just talked about microing properly. I don't think that's it.
Adding support structure.
Yeah, one of the Hormagaunt
He might not
goes
lose a
down
model,
to
though.
about
That would be
half health.
super lucky.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Oh,
there we
no.
go.
There it is.
I think he definitely deserved to,
Lose a model?
yeah.
Yeah, I think so, too.
Support structure complete.
Alright, so the Hormagaunt's still running around, harassing the back line.
Yeah, I think these
Tyrant
Hormagaunts
hasn't-
get into melee eventually with those Stormtroopers. Hive Tyrant's going to come in to help out.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't captured any of the victory points yet, despite having the majority of the map. Hive Tyrant kind of just stomping
The enemy
around.
falters, but he is not yet.
By the way, there are only two
We're under
Hormagaunts now.
attack.
Oh wait, what
Enemy
happened to
is
yeah?
destroying a key structure.
oLev?
Did he just lose a
oLev?
squad to the Eversor sitting over here?
That looks like a possibility.
Oh dear.
He finally has... He doesn't even have his natural. He has the contested victory point.
Yeah,
Gave
he
up
didn't
60
cap his
victory
natural
points
point.
for that.
Yeah, it's
We have lost a building.
oLev might be slipping here a little bit.
Yeah, this is not such a clean opening from him. It would be disappointing to see a last game in the series end that way. But, you know, at the same time, Shroom's opening last game wasn't so clean, and he actually turned it around. But, man, only a single model left on these Hormagaunts retreating.
Yeah, there's a lot of bleed happening here. There's been a couple Hormagaunt squads that have gone down. With
Oh, no!
Oh wow, the Eversor takes that squad out as well.
Structure.
Oh, my God.
Oh no.
Oh,
oLev, you were supposed to be the chosen one.
Position point, sir.
well,
How you feeling about your prediction now, Mike?
Under attack.
it's actually feeling completely correct.
Yeah, I don't know. oLev just seems like he wasn't quite here for this game. Granted, it only takes a couple quick mess ups when you're going for like an all melee build to throw things away a little bit.
I mean, he's still playing. He's got the Warriors out now, but I mean, he lost two Hormagaunts. Shroom hasn't lost anything, so he's got a full army, and you know, not seeing any more of that 3-squad shenanigans that we saw in some earlier games today. He's actually just got the fourth. He's got the tier 1.5 squad, standard stuff.
So he's going for a second warrior here as well.
Second warrior. Well, I questioned that when we saw it earlier today from Calzi. Here, I mean, I guess it does bring in that utility that I kind of talked about before. He might be hoping to get like that, again, that being able to leap on multiple squads with having 2 warriors. Oh no, but not there.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to get to the point that I don't know how this melee force is supposed to contend with this. We've got the Purgation Squad. Grenades are starting to come down on the Inquisitorial Stormtroopers. The Strike Squads themselves can pretty much contend one-on-one with any of these melee squads. It's just, I don't know. By the way, we need to know if someone picks SM or OM because it matters.
We shall make it so.
Yeah, I wish there was a way to see that as well. It's a very different start. That's why I made sure to let I did let oLev know that Shroom was playing Grey Knights, or Ordo Malleus as is the official term these days. So I did make a point to call that out in chat before this game started. So oLev did know what he was getting into.
Benji, I think you need to stop.
Yeah, let's dial that in.
Generator.
We've captured the location.
So Ravener's now coming out. That would be a good answer to the Purgation. Hive Tyrant charging in. He does have the Rending Talons. We already saw one of those seismic roars earlier. Hormagon's looking for a chance to get in here.
Man, what happened? Suddenly oLev has an army again.
Well, it turns out not having an army gives you plenty of requisition.
Plenty of upkeep, huh? That's the real strategy.
Yeah, you just give up all your upkeep and then you're good to go. Although, what's the number? Upkeep doesn't kick in until over 30 pop, I think, something like that.
That's honestly something I never do. Yeah, somehow oLev is still in this, and he's not even that far off economically.
Yeah, he's doing all right.
I mean, Shroom still has a lead, and if Shroom can like get to tier 2 and then maybe put out like if he's really fast and really puts out a Rhino early and make sure that he like moves it out early, then he might be able to capitalize on this. But I mean, otherwise, it looks like a recovery from oLev.
Yeah, it looks like he might have been able to bring it back around. His 3rd gen's going up, 3 gens down for the opposing player as well, and everything else is pretty much even up. That's one of the things about Calderas is that it's really, you have to really make you have to win fights and then have your army very spread out to really make a difference in map control. There's only the 2 rec points for either side. So, and that's one of the things that like players either love it or hate it for that reason. Because it's really hard to close games out even after a strong opening, but at the same time it also, you know, is a bit more forgiving sometimes because of that.
And now oLev, if anything, I kind of like the way he replaced his army, which is like he kind of traded out the Hormagons. Now instead he has warriors and Raveners. Not as much raw damage, but way more utility. So not quite as good for map control, also because they're not quite as fast as the Hormagons, but I think it actually helps him a lot with his ability to win fights because he can just knock so many things over.
Yeah, he's got tons of knockback. He's also not suffering from the AoE damage nearly as much as he otherwise would be from like the Purgation Squads, the Smites, that sort of thing. Tier 2 is down for both players now. Justicar coming down for the Strike Squad. And we'll have to see if there's anything coming in behind these as these players hit it. Warriors charging in, getting the double knockback between the Warriors and the Raveners, ripping apart those Inquisitorial Stormtrooper squads, but it's still a little bit too much. It's pretty much the full brunt of the Grey Knight army versus just a couple Tyranid squads. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, a quick retreat from the Purgations, finding themselves a Hive Tyrant and a squad of Hormagons, and I'd be willing to bet those Hormagons are going to go right across the map and start ripping apart some power nodes.
Now, Brawler was asking if the, well, he asked for Claw, which I was assuming he meant like the Claw for the Eversor Assassin. Instead, we're actually going to see the Eviscerator Axe on the Eversor Assassin.
Okay, grants the Kill Zone ability, benefits the Eversor and cripples his enemies. The Eversor abilities I'm a little less familiar with, so bear with us as we go through these. Plasma upgraded on both of those ISTs as well, which makes sense since we have double warriors. That plasma damage going to be able to quite easily rip through those warrior squads.
Ooh, what is this out of the Hive Tyrant? It's been a little while since I've seen this one. Psychic Scream.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Very cool. Yeah, so Psychic Scream, pretty significant debuff there. 30% damage on anybody affected by it. The Hive Tyrant is quite low. Seismic Roar goes down. There's Psychic Screams, there's Seismic Roar. That's a really loud Hive Tyrant. The Noise Marines are jealous right now. Oh man, you can see they tried to throw down the grenade, but the warrior attack interrupted them. That said, this squad of warriors is very low. 2 of them do go down, but it forces a full retreat. Again, those warriors just continuing to knock down those ISTs, and they're actually attacking the leader, so they might manage to kill. That's a die last leader on that squad.
God.
Oh, the lead model goes down.
3 hit
Very
points.
fortunate. Wait, no, there's Hormagaunts. There's Hormagaunts. They're in the retreat path. The capillary tower
Can they
going
get there?
down.
They're using the capillary tower. They wanted to get into range. I think they can finish them off.
Nice
Yeah,
job. Way to get the squad kill. oLev waking back up in the second stage of the game.
God. He's literally winning now.
Why are my units so bad, says Shroom.
Stormtroopers
Your tier
here.
1 trash
Orders.
beats my tier 2 units.
Happy to
I
be of
think you
service.
might have not quite played that engagement well, sir. Shroom making a lot of excuses over here.
I don't think he even bought tier 2 units.
Yeah, I mean, he has some tier 2 upgrades on his squads, but, I mean, there's no reason that warriors should be getting into melee range of those ISTs, honestly. The Hive Tyrant did go down on retreat there. I didn't catch that. He didn't quite make it home. He fell over right in front of the Hive. We've got one
Yeah, that is
Adrenal Gland
interesting.
Warrior Brood. The second squad is currently, as of yet, unupgraded. I almost feel like a Barbed Strangler wouldn't be a bad idea against all this range damage, but that might be a bad idea as well. But yeah, I mean, the Strike Squad has their it has their Plasma Overcharge Blast for suppression. It has their Grenade knockback. He shouldn't be getting that close to the Warriors.
Now we're gonna
So
see
a Grey Knight
Purifiers
win only
out
counts
of
as
all
half a game,
things.
right?
I feel like Purifiers are what I see least in tier 2 from the Ordo Malleus.
Alright,
Because
so
like you have your other options. You could get a Rhino with 80 with practically like 80 range DPS. You could get the Librarian who has another smite and also has a big melee counter with that Sanctuary. You can also get the Dreadnought. So it's very interesting to see the Purifiers out here.
well, I
It's
mean, they're
actually
the
gonna be
right
a lot of
choice
damage
against
the
yeah, I
Tyrant
mean,
Guard.
they do so much damage against the Tyrant Guard. They're all power melee, and then their Hammer guy as well on top of that. It's the Purifier
guess I see
squad
the
is a
reasoning.
really powerful melee squad. It's not to be underestimated. We're seeing it right here. They already wrecked that Tyrant Guard, and now they're ripping through these Adrenal Gland Warriors as well. The Hammer gets a knockback on everything. Hive Tyrant's here. The Tyrant Guard has to shell up even. And finally, after melee squad after melee squad, they're just not enough to hold against the entirety of the Tyranid army.
Yeah, I guess I see the reason with the Purifiers now. Obviously, just against the double warrior is going to be able to pop those warrior models fairly easily. A lot of damage against the Tyrant Guard as well.
And it looks like we are going to have a second Adrenal Gland Warrior Brood on the field. 385 to 279, and oLev's sitting on 100 points advantage right now.
Enemy is capturing
Ooh, and we have Enhanced Muscle Coil also coming out from oLev. So no,
Oh
these
yeah, look at
Raveners
these
are...
sneaky boys. Just a couple lumps in the sand right now. This Strike Squad doesn't know what's about to hit them. They
Yeah,
pop
it's
up, get
even
knocked
more-
back, and stunned.
Even more utility and crowd control.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about how the Grey Knight squads tend to have more utility, but like you said, oLev just changed up his army situation and kind of turned that right on its head. Oh my gosh, is he not paying attention? He wanted that decap so bad, but it's going to cost him a lot. He goes for the Burrow Strike. He might get another model. I don't think
this
he's
is a
going to
kill.
get the squad, no.
Maybe a model, but I don't think it's a
Yeah,
kill.
he got the
Okay,
second
there's the
model.
model.
Quite secure.
So Purifiers are out here. Tyrant Guard is about up to 2/3 health again after almost being completely knocked out by those Purifiers. He's going to want to get out of there shortly, but I guess he's just leaving it up as a threat for right now. The Purifiers move forward, which opens up an opportunity for the Tyrant Guard
They're
to
just
get in
getting
here.
knocked down over and over again.
No, I'm not. Is that the Purifier ability or is that the Kill Zone? I'm not sure.
That might be Kill Zone. I wonder
Purifier's
if we also
doing
have.
some work,
We
but
might
it's
also
just
have
not
Bio
quite
Meltdown
enough.
active.
Flow will go and answer. What are your orders?
We have 200 points remaining.
Purifier's heading home with 3 models and not much health. Shroom under 200 points. Can oLev seal this out? Oh man, good knockback over here. The Evasaur is very low on health right now.
They're closing with
There's
us.
Adrenal Gland Warriors. Yep, the Evasaur goes down. He does pop on retreat. And Shroom looking a little rough right now. How do you go from losing to overwatching 2 warriors to winning the game?
It's yeah.
oLev nits.
Wow.
The enemy is
I mean, 2
claiming
warriors has
every
proven
point.
quite effective. He's saying it's Overwatch. I feel like it was probably intentional. Oh man, even putting down a brood nest right in the face.
You know
Ready to serve. My thanks.
Alright, more sneaky Raveners. Burrowing under the ground, looking for the burrow strike. Yeah, that does seem to reveal.
But they can still do that.
Oh man, Hive Tyrant, look at how much knockback he has in this army. Between the Warriors, the Hive Tyrant, the Tyrant Guard, the Raveners, everything is happening right now. Now I think they still have vision on the Tyrant Guard. Hive Tyrant goes down. He's got to be very careful here. oLev's getting a little too aggressive here. I think he's about to lose the Tyrant Guard on top of losing the Hive Tyrant. Eversword does go down as well. Tyrant Guard shells up just in time for the Raveners to stop that las cannon from firing. Will the Purifiers have enough DPS to finish off? Oh my gosh, the las cannon set up just far enough back that it can't happen. The Purifiers want the kill so bad, but I don't think they're going to get it. They're getting completely overrun by the Tyranid forces, trying to finish off the Tyrant Guard, and Shroom throws in the towel. Oh my gosh. How low did that Tyrant Guard get? It was at 188 at the end. I mean, even with this little sliver of health, I think it was lower before that. I think it was in the realm of a single final las cannon shot or conversion beam, whatever we want to call this, from the Purgation Squad.
Yeah, it needed to be the conversion beamer to finish it off. The Purifiers were never going to do it.
Yeah, once it shells up, it does go from its infantry armor to vehicle armor, so you do need that hard anti-vehicle to finish that off. And man, he wanted it too bad.
So, man, in the end I was wrong again.
I mean,
man.
yeah, oLev brought it back. He knew. I mean, I don't know how much of it was calculated and how much of it was just like, I need to get stuff back on the field, so I'll just get some warriors out. Clearly, the Hormagaunts aren't doing the job. But man, it proved so very effective. And I don't know if this was like. It seemed like it was very planned because he had so much knockback. He had the Hive Tyrant, he had Psychic Scream, he had the Seismic Roar, he had Raveners, he had Warriors. Everything in his army could do some sort of knockback. So the Grey Knight's army was just on its back for the entire fight.
And I think what's really interesting about that army is that the thing is, like, to us and even to people who are watching it and to Shroom who is playing it, the builds from oLev looks like completely nonsensical, because normally you wouldn't lose your 2 Hormagaunts that early, and so you would never really have the opportunity to even try some kind of build like that. Him actually losing the Hormagaunts that early meant he replaced them with other things, and in the end, it actually felt like that composition worked out really well.
Yeah, it truly did, and I think it was just. I mean, that's sometimes the power of going off meta, right? Is that I think Shroom just very often underestimated the power of that knockback and the Warriors getting in there. I mean, normally you don't see people diving in with the Warriors quite as much, simply because you have those lesser nid squads that are going to suffer from the Synapse backlash. But with this makeup, he didn't really have to worry about that too much.